It's a really big show tonight. It's a really, really, really big show tonight. We got...
This is Music Relish Podcast.
EBDB. Welcome to Music Relish Podcast, episode 23. Tonight, we're going to talk about DIY home recording, on-home recording, as inspired by the alternative rock and punk movement. We're going to talk about the legendary drummer, Gary Chester. I think we got some random relish topics to talk about, just some scattered stuff for those without attention spans like us.
Yep.
And we got some trivia. Perry's got some trivia. I have a movie trivia question. And we have music news with our co-host, Mark Smith, over there. And we're going to talk about an album by the amazing, great band, one of a kind, The Monks. The album's called Black Monk Time. And Mark's going to do an album reveal where he picks random albums. I think it's 10 out of his 2000 record collection. And we just see what we got there. And if you're interested, we're on YouTube, like and subscribe or not. And we're on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Overcast. And if I missed anything, bite me. So what do you say?
Facebook.
Well, Facebook. We're on
hello,
Facebook.
Cohorts out there. How are you?
Cohorts.
Doing good,
Can we say,
Cohort. How are you?
Mark is the keeper of the Music Relish Facebook page, where he will post full songs of things we mention here, but cannot play because of copyright issues and stuff like that. So, Music Relish Podcast on Facebook. Good evening.
Hey, so Lou, what is this DIY thing you wanted to talk about? I found it interesting when you mentioned it to me. So,
Yeah. Well, it's a term. It's a Peter Gabriel song. DIY. It's the acronym for do it yourself.
Yep.
And it doesn't always apply to recording, you know.
I don't have the ba-dum-bum.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Well, I think as applies to what I wanted to talk about, it was that, you know, there was a time when technology got more advanced, you could actually record your own music without the expense of a recording studio, to varying degrees of success or not.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the punk bands, you know, there was DIY record labels and stuff, but, you know, back in the day, you know, you could record, if you look at the 50s artists, say Buddy Holly probably recorded on a little reel-to-reel like they had back then. Was that a 2-track?
2-track?
Possibly.
Yeah. 4-track.
Yeah. But so that enabled you to do it, and then you'd bounce off other cassette things. But once, you know, it became more commercially available, you could be your own producer.
Yeah.
So I know when, like in the early 80s in the band I was in with my brothers, you know, we went to a studio one time, and luckily we got some free time. Otherwise, it would have been very expensive. But we got a Tascam 4-track Porta Studio. It was a cassette recorder, and we would record on that. And that was just back in 1981 or whatever. That was wondrous. That was just like, wow, this is the beginning of something. And so, you know, and depending how you did it, you know, you could actually, you know, record 4 tracks. You could record 3 tracks and bounce them onto the 4th track.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Now, for example, I did that, I guess in 1998 to 99. I had an old 4-track, and I did that with some home equipment, and I would call it my solo album. It was, the band I was in had stopped playing, so it was just the time to have all these songs that I'd written and had backlogged just to get them down. So I did it all myself, layer at a time. But I got about 7 tracks onto this overloaded 4-track, you know, without benefit of compression and things like that. Or the outboard gear that would, if I was, you know, more hip to it, I would have used that.
You can do a little bit without degradation, but not too much.
Yeah, but you know, I think you've heard it. I called I called it my solo album. I called it Pet Squirrels. That was my title for it. It is my title for it. But you know, it's about 22 songs of assorted stuff, but all recorded in a garage in Westwood, New Jersey, using that equipment, your amplifier, the little 6-channel or whatever PV mixing board or 8-channel, and just, you know, some microphones. But that was something where it was liberating, and now with the advent of the digital realm, once the internet age came along, you know, you can do things on your phone. It's amazing. You know, the new programs, digital ones.
Yep.
To me,
you can get GarageBand on your phone.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is, you get digital quality recording at home. I have Cakewalk, but you know, I've only used it a couple times because that's how I approach things slowly with technology. You know, going from going to digital recording. Remember, Perry, I bought a Porter Studio Tascam 8-track. I was like, oh my God, this is like, what is this beast here? It's, it's going to eat my brain. I was afraid. I was afraid to use it. I had this weird, I think it's an irrational fear. But
didn't have tape. Yeah.
It didn't have tape. It just seemed like I had whatever I had to do. I had to get into more menus and learn how to navigate into things in order to do it. To the extent now that, the programs like Ableton and GarageBand and stuff like that, you do that. When we interviewed, remember when we interviewed The Point, on Milk Crates and Turntables,
you and
the
Mark
Milk Crates and Turntables podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We discussed the fact that I asked if they recorded that in the studio or at their house, and they did it at home. Was it Mark? Was it GarageBand they used or
no, it was something else, but it was
was it Ableton?
I think so. I think that was it.
Okay.
Well, there's many of those programs out there.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
But the drummer, he had to use his fingers to program, and
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can do it, and there's other drum programs, but so it's pretty cool. And I think most studios now are old. They are all digitally equipped, and some people still record on analog. I think you were mentioning Neil Young's last album was recorded on about 100 reels of tape.
If the artist wants to use tape, there's the technology is still there for the old 2-inch tape machines. Yep.
Just very expensive.
Right. And well, Mark, you were in the sound engineering and stuff like that end of it. Perry and I have been in a couple of recording studios early on in our time, and we always walked away being, it was fun. It was but we walked away usually sometimes somewhat disappointed at something, whether it was bad punch-ins and some digital overloading that we didn't notice at the time, but we couldn't get out in the mastering.
Yeah.
But I would say that I say this humbly that I think some of the things Perry and I have done in the last, before I moved to North Carolina, when I was living on Mountain Avenue in Westwood, some of those things we did, I think were some of the best things we ever did, considering the amount of money we spent in these other studios. And that was just using my equipment. I was coming over and, having the time, not too much time, because too much time can give you too much time to fuck around, Then you start having fun.
Yeah, and there's even now, Billie Eilish and her brother, they're DIYing it. They do that at home on a computer.
Yeah. Well, that's a bedroom pop is, the term. And you
that's
can do
the term
that,
for a bedroom pop.
And some of it is, it's a kind of quiet, very hushed. I mean, it's very dreamy. I think, the way I envision it is like, it's people living in, small apartments that can't just kick it out all the time because, they don't live in their own structures, whatever. But, it lends itself to quiet recording, and you can sit there and do a vocal in your thing, and you're not going to rile the neighbors if you have any.
Yeah, and I got a $2,000 MacBook Pro here, and it came with Logic Pro. And Logic Pro is like, as Tom Spallone told me, it's equal to 10 years ago a professional studio in a lot of ways. You still got to get the microphones, but it's never been the DIY side. It's just never been more avenues for musicians to record. But as a caveat, as a guy who audio mastered, because I get the stuff, anyone recording, please try and make it sound good. The mastering engineer cannot take crap and make it sound good.
Well, you said you recorded a track on your thing, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah. I was just a single track. I was just fooling around. But like Lou mentioned, I was in analog, so I was all analog. I had a big old Ampex, 1-inch tape. It's hard for me even now to get over that curve into the digital. Everything is backwards. I'm still learning. So it's going to be for me. Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. I was today's my Sunday gig. I was talking to my friend David about it, and he was, what he does, he has friends, musicians he's met in Louisiana. He sends them tracks, sometimes with a click, sometimes not. But they have the type of studios, and they're acoustic drum kits that are just mic'd. It's got the right equipment.
Yeah.
And they do the thing, and they send it back with it. They do their own mix and send it. But, he was mentioning that, he asked the guy, like, at a certain time signature to do something different. I said, does he punch it in? Or does, I would think he probably punches it in, like plays one, and however it's done.
Yeah.
I will always be a sucker for a first take. But
I agree.
Anyway,
those are usually the best.
But that brings up my argument. Sometimes I think that it's almost slightly wag the dog, where just because you can have unlimited tracks, do you need to do it? Like, well, at one point, what was so imperfect that all those times were, I don't know. I'm saying that out of slight ignorance because I haven't been in the studio in years.
analog.
What?
Even
What?
when they were doing analog, did you really need a 72-track studio? Really?
Yeah, I got to wonder. We'll take ELO for instance.
ELO,
if
right,
or
yeah,
like the Moody
yeah.
Blues. Like if that's what you need, okay, But the fact that they did have a hit single without an orchestra is pretty cool about ELO. Don't Bring Me Down was not an orchestra. There was their only hit single that it's just a rock band.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed. Now the thing about DIY and home recording is that whatever type of your recording situation is, like I like collaborators, so I don't have any collaborators here, and it's always good to hear another opinion. And if you're tired of recording yourself all the time, my thing is just got kind of tedious in a sense to just it'd be good to be able to have, like when you guys came down, when Scott Miller came over to record, that's more fun for me because I'm doing something for someone else and there's some back and forth.
Sure.
But but studio time, commercial studio time is expensive.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there's some nice studios here in Nashville. There's a couple of really, really good ones, and they're very well known too. But if you want to do it at home, you don't like going out, you don't like people, you got the world's at your fingertips. The
advantage, like say the three of us decide to do a song, the advantage of digital recording is we could theoretically, if we could get our systems to talk, we could just a file drop and, hey Perry, here's my idea. And that's an advantage. The disadvantage to all this is, like you just said, Lou, the interaction with musicians is not there as much. But then again, get in the studio and you're paying for X amount of hours, it puts pressure on you too.
Mm-hmm.
So
which it can be a good thing too, because you have to get something done, and and I think that's the reason why a lot of albums, they don't mess with the drums like they used to, because you don't have the budget for it. And I can tell you, drums they're tedious to like get mixed right. Having to do sound checks, hit that tom 4,000 times. It's like, but it's what you got to do. But with digital, with my drum kit, my digital kit, I want a '60s kit, click. I want a big '80s rock kit, click. It's just there's no, you don't have to deal with that. So
same with the guitar. We got our inboxes, me and Perry. We can get a Marshall, we can get Ampex.
Absolutely,
Yep.
I've been doing the Fender Bassman with my Telecaster. Man, does that sound good.
Nice.
That really fancy Telecaster I got, thanks to Perry's information there,
That's right. With the gash in it.
It's the MIJ, it's called. Made in
I love
Japan.
that gash.
It's the distress model.
I mean, they were even, so the Tom Petty story, like I said, the worst thing they ever did was putting a studio in his house because it took forever. Nobody ever got anything done.
Takes discipline.
Right? Yep.
Yeah.
It's like working at home. Everyone wants to work at home now. Not everybody's meant for working from home. You're going to record from home. It takes a little bit of discipline there.
Yep. Yeah. If he was self-producing then too, like, if you got someone cracking the whip saying, it's taking all day to do the, hi-hat symbol.
Well, that's...
So that was my take on kind of home recording.
That was your take on DIY?
Yeah. Now that remember it was I guess it was a Foo Fighters single, but it was the first one Dave Grohl did. The title's like My Big Head or something. I forgot that Mr. Big. It's a pop tune he did.
It was on the first
talk
album.
About it, carries on, regional, brand new.
Yeah,
that's
I've
a
heard
DIY
that,
recording. Yeah, he recorded everything himself on that. And if you hear that now compared to My Hero, there's a big difference in recording technology. That sounded like he did it. And I think he did it by himself in a room, pretty much.
Right, but the equipment Bruce Springsteen supposedly recorded in Nebraska on a 4-track Tascam.
Yep,
you can hear it, but it's all distorted.
Right, there was a mixing board involved, and there was other things involved, an engineer probably too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was Chuck Plotkin. Probably was.
I don't know.
There's reverb on that. There's a lot of reverb on his vocals and stuff. But that was a cassette he carried in his pocket.
But that was a DIY recording.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And one of his best albums.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people's favorite, actually. It's one of those albums, 30 years later, like that's some amazing songwriting, like something we're going to talk about tonight.
And also, the album came out after Born in the USA. Was that what was the name of that album? That was the basis. A lot of those songs were home recordings too. Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel of Love, yeah.
That album. I can never remember the name of it. Great album, but some of those songs in there he did at home, and it's like he just came off after Born in the USA. And he went back to DIY on some of that. It came out really good. He had drum machines on it, but
Yeah, and the Born in USA was what, a year and a half tour or something?
at least. The song Two Faces, that sounds like a song could have been on Nebraska.
That's a great song.
It wasn't dark enough. Well, it was a dark song, but it wasn't dark enough for Nebraska.
Bill Walton had 2 tattoos. Those lyrics just got to me. They're great. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who's Bill Walton? The basketball
I don't
player?
know. He
So
says
you
the
said
name
him
of
because
somebody.
he's a deadhead. That's why you said him.
Yeah,
Bill
that's right.
Walton's a known deadhead.
Harry, they're like a jazz band, okay?
Lou, are you finished with this DIY thing? Because
yeah, I think unless you guys got something, it's just something I think the inspiration and how the idea to be able to do it on your own. It's kind of maverick. You're on your own terms. You're recording on your own terms.
yeah,
And I'm going to repeat what I said before.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat what I said before as a guy that had to handle everything after the fact. Like Lou, when the Tascam cassette 4-tracks came out, we would get a ton of people coming in at CPI with their little, you could do something respectable, actually. You could. Tom Spallone did something on a really good, but if you're going to do the
had a
DIY,
4-track recorder. Yep.
yeah. But if you're going to do it, just take the time to get the good sounds, get it sounding right, because it could sound really bad without an engineer there.
Well, they were originally for
a whole lot of noise,
but they were originally for putting ideas. They were like a demo studio.
Demo.
Yep.
Yeah.
And recently, because I have my old Tascam Porta Studio, and one of them, I think it's my second one. And I have some cassettes that I recorded. Me and my brothers recorded back in the '80s. We did on the first machine we had, and so at the same time, we like to get some sketches down, and
sure.
Plus, back then, this is more of like maybe a nostalgic thing where it was so novel to hear like my drums back.
Yeah,
I really need to know how to tune these things, or like the experimentation on heads that I use. I took the bottom heads off. I went through that phase,
Yep.
But now it's just buttons. Whoops, buttons.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. It's just a little fun thing. And so, and if you can do it, record all your stuff. Record.
Anyone that has a computer,
get it all
if
down.
you have a decent computer, just put your stuff down. If you don't think you're a good musician, say, "Oh, I dabble in keyboards." Put it down, record it, listen back. The best thing is to listen back to what you recorded. Then you can criticize yourself and you can get better and all that type of stuff.
But the point is, everybody out there has ingenuity. It's all good stuff. It's your stuff. It's good stuff. You don't
have to sound like anybody else.
And if the first guitar sound you got isn't good enough, well, then you go over it again with a better sound. And that's what a DIY is. I can do it better. I can do it better. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
DIY.
Do you guys know who Gary Chester is? He's a legendary drummer, Gary Chester.
I never heard of him.
He was born in Italy, actually. His real name is Cesario Gucciolo.
Perry? He
Yes.
was born in Sicily. They don't consider themselves Italians.
Ooh.
Okay, well, okay. So Sicily's not part of Italy.
I don't want you to get in trouble, man. Come on. You staying out of trouble?
Well, anyway, he was a studio drummer. He was an author and also a teacher. Taught a lot of drums. And he started in the late 1950s. And I mean, he's played on the Coasters, the Crests. He played the Drifters. He played drums on Under the Boardwalk. He played drums on Benny King, Spanish Harlem. He was the drummer on those kind of things. Shirelles, Curtis Lee, Neil Sedaka. He played drums on a lot of those silly Neil Sedaka hits. Leslie Gore, the Chiffon, Dionne Warwick. He played drums on a lot of those Burt Bacharach, Hal David, Dionne Warwick songs. He was a drummer on those. Yep.
Great drumming.
Yeah. Also, John Denver. He played on John Denver's Rocky Mountain High album. And also the Monkees. He's played on the Monkees and many, many more. But I have a couple of samples of some of the things he's did from the earlier days through the 70s. So here's a sample of one of the ones he played. I think this might be from like the early 60s. I'm not sure.
Oh, Mr. Bassman, you're
50s.
He's the drummer, Gary Chester.
And if you did the boom boom ball, hey, Mr. Bassman, you're the hidden king of rock and roll.
Now, I remember hearing that on the radio, but it was an oldie when I heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
Right?
That might be 50s.
That might be late 1950s, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a pretty snappy drum fill he did there with the vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here's another one that Gary Chester played on. Famous song. Don't have to say anything. You will know. Yeah. Gary
version
Chester
is that?
playing drums on the Isley Brothers.
Isley
Yep.
Brothers.
Yep.
You know,
And
yeah.
so this is amazing. You know, like these guys get me. You know, like they're his occupation was studio drummer. That was his occupation listed as. So
he didn't
played
have to tour.
Now here this is still early too. This one here, Everly Brothers.
If I wait for cloudy sky.
I can hear him hitting the floor toms
Yeah.
on those. But it gets better, Lou. It gets better. And I'll tell you why. Now we're in the 1960s. He played drums on this song. Amazing.
I love this song.
Same guy. In fact, it started out with a little drum riff. Amazing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
Gary
Lou, I
Chester.
will tell you that, much to my despair, he even played on an Italo rock song.
Don't despair. Don't despair.
Good drumming.
I'll be all yours till the end.
Pretty good singing.
That was. I have it listed as Jay and the Italos, but I believe it's Jay and the Americans, right?
You're being a dick.
What's that song name?
Insomnia.
That was. I'm only having fun with it, but good drumming, really good drumming on that song in particular.
It is. And good singing too.
Yeah. Now
He was like an opera singer.
This one may surprise Mark too. It may surprise you, but this is Gary Chester on drums. Now that surprised me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
One of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Lou. Go ahead.
Why do you think he's not as well known as Hal Blaine? I mean, is it because of singles? I mean, that's a lot of work. And I looked up, once you mentioned him, I knew his name from reading Modern Drummer magazine.
You've
and he had
mentioned
articles.
his name to me in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had no idea until you mentioned him, like, what he played on. I knew he was like a clinician. I knew he was a teacher.
Yeah.
And from Max Weinberg seeking him out during a rough period.
Oh,
and
that
he
was
in
the
a
guy
slump.
that you were telling me that Max sought out. That was him.
Yep.
Now, apparently,
I think maybe Bernard Purdy. You know why?
why?
He sought out Bernard Purdy because Max is a big Ringo fan.
Mm-hmm.
And since Bernard Purdy played on all those Beatle records,
Right. Ringo didn't
play.
play any drums on him.
He didn't play any drums. He might as well.
Yeah.
He can go to New York and talk to Bernard Purdy because he was the fifth Beatle. And as great a drummer, is he dead? Are we talking ill of the dead? We went off subject.
Gary
No,
Chester.
we're talking about Gary Chester. We went to Bernard Purdy and we went to a skit. Sorry,
He's deed. He's deed.
he's dead. Okay,
Yeah.
but no. So that's he went. A lot of drummers have studied with him. Did Neil Peart?
Now I have two more samples of this. This one may surprise you. Go ahead, Mark. What were you going to say?
I was going to say Neil Peart studied with some drummer that got him into that traditional grip.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
Yeah,
I wonder. Wow. If so, I mean, the guy that played Sugar Sugar was teaching these other considered world class drummers how to play. So, like I said, here's the thing, we never got it as kids. We liked the music. We just didn't know how
Right.
the drums
Didn't
are
know
so
who he
simple,
was.
right?
Didn't know if you had the 45, his name was not going to be on the record.
But we didn't know how they knew how to make those songs work, how to make them sing. It just
Well, here's
sounds
one that
effortless,
surprised
doesn't
me. Gary Chester, the classic drummer. This one surprised me.
Just like that. Da, la dee da.
Wow.
Yeah. Now talk about servicing the song, right?
Yeah, but it swings. It's a big
Yeah.
swing, and that hi-hat thing, that's a
Yeah,
big swing. Wow.
Yeah. I've got one more sample of Gary Chester playing drums.
The guitar player is Hugh McCracken that played on Double Fantasy. And many
That's who
other
that
things.
is?
That's who's playing that riff, yeah.
Here's one more Gary Chester played him because he pretty much went from the late 50s through about, say, the mid 1970s. Here's one that he did. Pretty good drumming on this song, too.
Well, out of South Alabama, come a country boy. Said I'm looking for a man named Jim. I am a bull shooting boy. My name is Willie McCoy. But down home they call me.
Gives the song exactly what it needs, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, Lou, you and I have discussed this, that he created this technique of drumming. And, well, it's an Italian term, ostinato. And it says here, Chester devised a system involving internalized patterns employing drum melody in an attempt to expand drummers' coordination and groovability. So his figure employed more than repetition on drums, and we've all heard repetitious drumming, right? We know what that is. But his was a variation and development for phrasing and having students use the entire kit to think differently. Like, here's an example. Like, I'm amazed at piano players who, with their left hand, are playing a bass type melody on the lower keys, and they're playing something completely different. So they have that ability to separate like that. And apparently he was trying to teach that on drums, to where your limbs, think of your limbs as completely different.
Yeah,
your feet,
they're all working. They're working independently.
Right, absolutely. Right. They don't have to be rigid. They don't have to be, and everything rigid like that. And that was one of the techniques that he taught. It was famous for, apparently.
You can hear it on his snare drum. He just they're not quite fills, but they're kind of flourishes. I don't read music, so I might be using the terms incorrectly.
Right. Like on that Jim Croce song, it was pretty much snare. But it wasn't just, there was some things going on.
There's variation on the hi-hat. But he taught other things as well. But, when people say to think melodically on the drums, you don't think like that unless you've got steel drums or tuned percussion. But you can do that. I mean, I think Levon did that in a lot of ways, lead off on a tom-tom. Ringo as well.
Well, here's another thing that he wrote in his book, Ambidexterity and Rhythm Vocalization. So, I mean, he was teaching the drummers to, you can be, you don't have to play traditionally all the time. I mean, you guys are talking about Neil Peart. I've seen him. We're on the same song where he'd be like traditional, then he'd go to match grip, then he'd go to traditional. So, all these kind of interesting things. Yep. But he's also written books. Gary Chester's written books on drumming and drumming techniques. And
he's teaching them about cross dominance.
Yes. Yep.
Right. If you've seen some videos of Kenny Aronoff when he was in the John Mellencamp band, he's playing the hi-hat with his left hand and the snare on his right, so he's not crossing over. That was another part of his technique, was that maybe learn how to do things where you're not always crossing over.
Correct. In fact, it says here, developed independent four-way coordination. So just like you said, it doesn't always have to be this.
Right.
There's a whole kit there, and he was trying to get the students to use the whole kit. Think independently, just as you said. Yep.
And that includes using tom-toms where you might hit a cymbal. Or, I think Mick Fleetwood, it's somewhat like, I guess, African type drumming too. That's like, it's polyrhythmic where you're different. I've seen Billy Cobham do it live, and it was it was mind boggling, but, each limb might be doing something differently, but not all at the same time necessarily, it's ultimate independence, really what it is. The cross dominance is when you're like mostly, one hand you favor, but you can actually do things a lot with your other opposite hand. I'm lefty cross dominant, where I do a lot of things right-handed. I play drums right-handed, but other things I can't do. But mostly,
like Ringo,
Ringo, or it's good for baseball, But So I think that kind of helps, but like when you see the guy from the Romantics, the drummer, when he's not line, what I like about you,
Yeah.
he's doing that thing where he's not crossing over. He's just doing, so he's that
right,
kind of thing.
Right. Yep.
Whether he studied with Gary Chester, who knows?
Yeah. So, and he lived to 1987. So, yeah, he died pretty young, actually. But that was it. Gary Chester, famous studio drummer, author, and teacher.
I wonder if he was able to make any instructional videos. I'm going to look that up and see. Be interesting to see him describing his
there might
video.
be some out there. I don't know. Yeah.
And some of those songs you mentioned, Perry, that's not even nearly what he did.
Apparently, he's played on hundreds.
Yeah. You said he was the drummer on one of the ultimate Italo rock classics of all time. Come a little closer. And I heard that was Hal Blaine.
I didn't say that. I don't know that he was. He, yeah.
I think so. I think I might have saw that when I looked it up.
I had him on Cara Mia.
He knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah. So Gary Chester, famous studio drummer, late great Gary Chester. Yep.
What was his birth name again? Garolio Ciccarello, or was
it? I've got it here. His name was Cesario Gurucilio.
Oh, Cesario. Yeah. Like Caesar.
Yeah, apparently Lou says he was born in the country of Sicily.
That's right. The island of Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true.
Well, okay. Where do you want to go? Do you want to do some trivia, or do you want to do some random
we had some music. We had some music relish head.
What the hell is happening?
I wasn't wearing my William Holden drinking helmet.
I've got one more that Gary Chester played
random
on.
relish, man.
Well, one more. Let me give you one more Gary Chester, okay?
There's a million more.
Here's one more.
Yep.
1877 cars for kids. KARS cars for kids. 187.
I'm kidding. That was me playing
drums. That's the bluesy mix.
Oh my goodness.
Some wild guitar on there.
That's some bluesy swing.
1-800-77 cars for kids.
Those kids can rock. So, do you guys want to have some random, cover a couple of random subjects?
Please. I don't have any.
I have a zeitgeist thing, Lou.
I'm specific.
I have a zeitgeist moment.
You do.
Yeah, because you were talking about DIY earlier, right?
Yep.
So some of these bands, as you all well know, our listeners well know, that some bands, musicians started their own record label. Beatles started Apple Records. Led Zeppelin started Swan Song Records, right? Yeah. Rolling Stones probably were one of the first ones to start their own label. Rolling Stones Records, right? With that tongue logo.
Mm-hmm. It's called Rolling Stone Records? I thought it had like another.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Frank Sinatra starting Reprise Records. How's that? Yep. Way back in like 1960 or something, right?
DIY, baby.
Yeah, and he started it so that his material, he can do what he wanted. You know, who was the guy from Columbia and Capitol who told him what he had to record? He had no choice. They said, you're gonna do a concept album about flying. So it's like float down to Peru. Every song was about,
That's a good song.
I'm not saying song? It's not. I'm saying it's a silly concept for a record where every song's about flying. You know,
you're gonna work with Mitch Miller and do dog noises.
Mitch Miller was the one who told him. Yeah, from Columbia. Yep. You're gonna sing this.
God.
So of course, Mark knows this. Emerson, Lake and Palmer had their own label called
Manticore. Yep.
Jack White, Third Man Records, right? Frank Zappa, remember his company?
Oh God, I forgot.
He had two, but mainly it was Barking Pumpkin, I think, was.
Yeah.
Yep. And
gonna pull out an album.
And Dave Grohl apparently has his own record label called, I don't know what it's called, Dave Grohl. But did you know? Did you know that? This is where I'm bringing it around to, Lou. Did you know that the Jefferson Airplanes started their own record label in 1971?
Nope.
I remember seeing records. You want to remember the label? Grunt Records, GRUNT.
Right? Yes.
That was them. That was their DIY doing their own label.
Okay.
So from 71
But
on,
these labels are always distributed by a major.
of course, by a bigger company. Yeah, you're not going to get the distribution. But that, I mean, Apple was even distributed by, probably EMI or in the Capitol in the U.S. or whatever, right?
Yeah. Alan Klein Records.
Now, I found something interesting that U2, I did not know, has their own record label. Mother Records. I don't have U2 records, so do you have U2 records? I don't know what record label on, but apparently they have their own record label called Mother Records.
I have pretty much everything. It always says Island, but maybe it's Island and Mother and then are close.
Well, yeah, if Mother is probably distributed by Island now. But here's something interesting that I found out. This is amazing about U2. They own 100% of their master recordings and their copyrights.
Good for
100%.
them.
All of them outright.
Good for them.
Nothing's going to happen like happened with UMG and, with fires and loss and all these kind of things. They own everything.
Good.
Isn't there a manager guy named Paul McGinnis, I think?
Yes.
He's still
Is it? Yeah.
So maybe he's a good guy to have.
Yeah, he's
might be
looking
Satan,
after them.
but he's our little Satan.
And Stevie Wonder also. I remember seeing that Motown special that was on, and remember the Stevie Wonder part when his contract was up, and Barry Gordy said, I had to give Stevie a lot, I had to, because he was threatening to leave, of course, Motown. His contract was up. So in 1971, he resigns with Motown, but he owns all his masters, Stevie Wonder. That was part of the deal. That's smart. Yep.
And anyone that knows about how Barry Gordy worked, it's amazing that he was able to get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So were some of his, so what year was that when he re-signed? 71?
1971. His contract was up with Motown and he re-signed. Yeah.
So his big mid-70s records were on Motown?
Yeah.
Well,
I believe
smart move for Barry Gordy. Because
they might have been released on like Tamala.
Right.
Which is a Motown subsidiary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was blanked out on that one.
Yeah, they had Tamala Records was a subsidiary of Motown also.
Yeah.
And there was actually Gordy Records too. I remember seeing old Motown hits on Gordy Records.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No
Barry
surprise there, right?
He had two things. He had Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye wanting to get away from the 2-minute pop hit thing, and he resisted that. But he let them have their way. And you know what? If he had gotten his way, it wouldn't have worked out for him. I mean, those were so essential to R&B, having those albums.
Yeah, and you think of those classic Marvin Gaye tunes now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And also one other thing, too, also that Metallica signed a deal, right? You've heard of this, right?
Yeah.
The deal that they had with Warner Brothers was they signed this deal in 1994 with Warner Brothers, and they said in 2012, all the masters revert back to us. So as of 2012, Metallica owns all of their masters.
And you know what they did? They were very wise.
They do.
So they knew in 2012, 2013, CDs were still selling. And they said, you know what? A lot of people have our albums, but we're going to put them out on Blackened, and we're going to make them $5. So if you went into Target around 2015, you could get any Metallica album. I bought a couple, just they're $5, but a lot of people, bought again. It was a good move on their part.
Yeah. So it says here they own, this is smart too on Metallica's part, they own all music and long form videos. So I guess those documentaries and all that, they own all that stuff.
Good on them.
Smart. Yeah.
It's amazing how many documentaries we're seeing on one band now.
I know.
There's like 5 Leonard Skinner ones out. These guys
really
put another one out, like throw another like sentence in there and make it different than the other 4.
And also
keep pumping at it.
Excuse me. And also Prince. There was a dispute with Paisley Park, so Warner Brothers shut down Paisley Park. And what does he do? He starts MPG, New Power Generation Records. Goes right away, like, yeah, man, go. DIY, do it,
Yep. And he had the studio.
Also, you're using the same studio.
Yeah. But his record label, in a dispute, Warner Brothers shut down Paisley Park Records. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I have one other little story, too. Did you know that in 1965, George Martin and his business partner started Air Studios in 1965.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
I
long.
thought that was the 70s.
1965, they started the concept, but they didn't get the first studio built till 1969. That's when the first Air Studios was built, somewhere in London. It was on like the third floor of the building, and they weren't too happy there. And in fact, when their lease was up, they left. But it's called Associated Independent Records. That's what Air is. Air Studios, Associated Independent Recording. Like that, pretty cool.
That
1965, you had the idea.
Didn't they also have a studio in Montserrat?
Well, yeah, they built a studio in Montserrat in 1979.
Okay.
Want to have a guess what the first recording was at in
Live and Let
Montserrat?
Die.
You know what it is. What is it?
Live and Let Die?
No.
No.
Rocket Store theme.
No.
Wait, 1969?
No, 1979 was when he built in Montserrat.
Oh,
Air Studios
America.
in Montserrat, yeah.
America?
No, the album was called Reel to Reel, REAL to REEL, Climax Blues Band.
Really?
It was
Wow.
the first record done
Yeah.
at Air
Okay.
Studios Montserrat. That was the first album done there.
Did they record that classic song there? Looking for something found in the middle of the night.
If it's on that record, they probably did.
Yeah.
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 And Jimmy
That's not
Buffett.
a one-hit wonder, though.
Jimmy Buffett recorded an album there, and he jokingly called it because of the volcano. He called the record because there was an active volcano on the island.
Which eventually
Found it-
destroyed the
You
studio.
wrote a song about it.
And there was a hurricane that came in, Hurricane Hugo, which destroyed the
Pompeii.
studio. Apparently,
Oh, okay. I thought it was
you
a
know, it's the
hurricane.
last
I thought-
record, 1989. 1989, last record done there.
Dire
Studio
Straits
lasted
Brothers.
10 years.
What was it? Rush.
It was a big record by a biggest band in the world.
Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms.
That's
Nope.
what I was saying. No.
Yeah.
Rolling
that
Stones, Steel Wheels was the last record recorded there. Then the hurricane hit after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones and Montserrat. What's the worst that could happen? Wow.
Yeah, yep.
What was the big song from Steel Wheels? Mixed Emotions.
Mixed
or something?
emotions. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
You're not. I always thought it was Mix Emotions, like Mick Jagger's Emotions.
Yeah.
You're not the only one with mixed emotions.
Well,
Oh, you know
I
what?
don't think Richards would write that.
Speaking of
Yeah.
speaking of something I just
Fuck
mentioned
'em.
about Jimmy Buffett, right?
It's buffet.
Jimmy Buffett.
Parrot head.
Jimmy Buffett. Right. The term parrot heads. You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
His followers are called parrot heads.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, apparently, one of the Eagles dubbed his followers parrot heads.
No.
Which
Timothy B.
member of
Schmidt.
the Eagles do you think dubbed the Jimmy Buffett followers parrot heads?
Timmy Schmidt.
It was Timothy B. Schmidt. Yep.
He sang some backups. He sang backups with a lot of people, but that's Timothy B. Schmidt.
He dubbed the
Schmitty.
followers of he dubbed
Schmitty
the parrot
heads.
heads. Yeah.
Schmitty heads.
Parrot Smitties. The Schmarits.
Followers of Mark Smith are called Schmitty heads.
Schmitties.
Don't follow me. Follow James May. I just look like him.
Well, let
Hey,
me see
Perry.
if I could. Yeah.
But you know what? Oh, if you, I don't want to interrupt if you're not done with those.
No.
this-
Go ahead.
When you mentioned something at the start, talking about record labels, and you mentioned Frank Sinatra. So
Yeah.
I used to work at CPI in Hillsdale, and then
Yeah.
they were bought by Associated Audio in Connecticut, and I went to work up there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that worked there, he got his start in duplication in Detroit, and he worked for Bill Lear, Learjet. But
Yeah,
Bill
right.
Lear
Created the
was
8-track.
instrumental in the development of the 8-track. But you know why the 8-track was developed?
No.
It was for Frank Sinatra. Frank was looking for a portable way to make his music portable that he could listen in his limos and his
Really?
in his jets and everything.
Interesting.
So they were working on the first prototypes of 8-tracks.
Yeah.
And he said, there was a little puck in the 8-track. Originally, they were the same puck that you would have on a really good 1/4-inch machine. So the original 8-tracks, he claims, were a lot better. And I think they were crap. But I don't know if you've ever heard how Frank was enraged by the thought of anyone making an unauthorized copy of anything of his. Like he just would flip out. You could not, if he heard some kid in Minnesota made a copy of one of his albums, he would go livid. Like he was concerned about piracy. You know?
Who would dare do that? You
Well,
find yourself,
it's funny.
You find yourself on the end of a hook. They'll find you in the weeds. You'll be a Latmus.
Well, it's funny you say it because they were giving him a demonstration on a jet of the 8-track system. They got the whole 8-track player in there, and Bill Lear told my boss that he said go make a copy of one of the albums onto 8-track. So they said, Mr. Sinatra, here we go. We're going to play it for you. And he went, how did my music get on that 8-track? Did I authorize it? He said he was never so scared in his freaking life. He said, I'll never ever forget that. Yeah.
Man.
I mean, just
I remember,
to have Frank look at you,
They would come for a time, I guess, in the 70s. They would come standard in cars.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Remember they used to come in car, or that you used to buy an external one and hook it up through the dashboard, right? A lot of people did that.
In 1970s, that was the thing to have,
Yeah, and I remember it was always like, I remember singing a Led Zeppelin one, the one with I think it was Houses of the Holy, the one with Dire Maker, or rather
all the kids
Jamaica.
climbing up the kids, naked kids climbing.
It's probably the first one we were issued on
But
8-track.
I remember, like, after, there were like 4 tracks, right? And it said, due to programming, there will be like 1 minute of silence before, like, the 4th one, before it went back to the first one. Like, weird stuff like that.
Or it would break up songs in the middle and then continue on the other. What's the first 8-track you remember ever?
You're right. They used to have a song, yeah.
Yeah. What was the first one that is ingrained in you? I have one.
Mine is Led Zeppelin. I didn't have it. My brother-in-law had it. He had Song Remains the Same by Led Zeppelin, and Days of Confused, I think, spread over 4 tracks because it's a half hour long. And because it's a double album, it was like on 3 8-track tapes. It was not an efficient system. Yeah.
Mine was Johnny Cash, Blue Train.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never owned one. I just remember seeing it in somebody's car.
My father had it. Yeah.
But I do remember that Led Zeppelin one. There would be a minute of silence at the end of track 4.
And like Lou said, it's not good for prog or jazz. Anything that's over 10 minutes.
What song by a major artist from a major live album of the 70s mentions 8-track? Trivia question.
I don't know. Bob Seger?
I would guess that too, because Bob Seger kind of kept 8-tracks going. He had one of his albums made on 8-track just because fans could get it.
Oh, wow. No, this song, the singer mentions 8-track.
I'm stumped.
Jackson Browne, The Loadout Stay. And 8-tracks and cassettes and stereo. We got
wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I just can't believe when you had cassettes.
Random Relish Trivia.
You had cassettes and 8-tracks. Why 8-tracks still survive? Because a cassette, you could get, a whole album side on one side. You could get up to 45 minutes on a side.
Yeah.
It's the industry. All the formats are controlled by the industry. They just want you to, they had a point. Yes, Fragile came out on 8-track and cassette and vinyl. There was more sales. So it was good. They liked it.
They all feared that. The industry feared that. I remember when they were making, Maxell was making tapes, or they like the record companies wanted a cut of it because they knew you were going to copy an album to cassette. They knew it.
Yep.
They absolutely knew it.
What they didn't understand was
DIY.
I borrowed tons of albums from friends and copied them. At the same time, I was buying tons of albums, and my friends were borrowing some of my albums. So everyone was still buying the media.
Sure.
They weren't losing out.
Yeah. Mark, you feel like doing some music news?
Why, yes, Mr.
Did you have a trivia question, Perry?
Oh, yeah.
I did.
I want to fail.
I gave it to you. It was the Parrot Heads. Who came up with the Parrot Heads?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one. I have a trivia question before we do
what is
news.
it?
It's a movie trivia question.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any Goodfellas soundtrack at your disposal on your comedy machine?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I have a question. So, Karen Hill.
You could have tipped me off.
I just thought of it. Karen Hill as portrayed by Lorraine Bracco in Goodfellas, right? What was her unmarried name before it was Karen Hill?
God. And yes. He says her father's last name when he's talking. Damn it!
I have no idea.
It's Friedman.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
as in Sidney Friedman.
They're
My
not
man.
Jewish. You don't know how these people live.
Mark, do you have any news? Is there anything happening in the news?
Why, yes, Perry. There is some things happening in the news this week.
All right. Well, let's get your little music relish news intro. Okay, hang on. Here we go.
What's new? And now, music relish news with Mark Smith.
I prefer now Mark Smith News with Music Relish Smith. I like that one.
That's not wrong.
You pompous ass. Just get on with it.
I'm a prog fan, Perry. Well, we've been talking about all these artists that are selling their publishing rights.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the latest one is Peter Frampton.
All right. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hitting the end of the line. He's not in good shape. And
What do you
it
mean?
sounds
The
like
guy's in the 70s.
he's got a, what's that condition?
I know, where he can't tour anymore. So he has trouble playing the guitar even, right?
Yeah, he had to sit down on his tour that just ended, But, he's bowing out.
Stuff, neurological stuff, or
I think it's bones,
really?
but I'm not sure. But he's still able to play, so he wanted to bow out on a high note. Good for him. He's like, I'm not on death's door, but I just don't want to do it anymore. And who knows? Maybe they'll find a way to treat him. So he's made an agreement with BMG. He's signing with, and BMG, who have made 32 agreements in the last year, so they're doing a lot. But I would hope BMG.
That's a British company, right?
Yeah, I don't know what BMG stands for, but BMG Music is huge, And he says,
big mogul conglomerate now.
Yeah, there you go. He says, I'm pleased to join the BMG family. Ba-boom. Then he said, he confirmed that the deal also included songs he made with The Herd and Humble Pie. Very interesting. So it's his whole catalog,
Smart.
He said, as an artist first,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. He said, as an artist first company, I trust BMG will care for my legacy and that my songs are in good hands. That's what it is. He wants to make sure his legacy stands.
Did you happen to say how much money he got for it?
No, not in the report I have. So who knows? I don't know why that wasn't released.
I would think he's set for life.
Yeah. But the discussions have been going on for 3 years. Peter was meticulous with everything.
Yeah.
And BMG also have David Bowie, Harry Nilsson. They have a lot of big names. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's not some schmaltzy company from New Jersey or whatever. So, sorry, not New Jersey, Connecticut. Yeah.
So that includes his whole catalog plus The Herd and Humble Pie.
Humble Pie, yes.
Frampton comes alive, and
those big hits, probably. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm thinking the songs he wrote in Humble Pie had nothing to do with who was the guitarist in Humble Pie again? Not guitarist, the singer. Oh,
Steve Marriott.
I guess because it couldn't be any song like, well, I Don't Need No Doctor. That's a cover, right? I don't think it's an original.
That I think that's a cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess he wrote songs that only him in there. But that's
an old blues cover, or like Johnny Winters or somebody like that even covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love their version of it though.
But I'm curious though, man. I don't know if you know this. I've heard about, Bob Dylan selling his catalog, Bruce Springsteen selling his catalog, Peter Frampton selling his catalog. Are they selling the copyrights? Do you know what I mean? Are they just selling?
What exactly? Yeah.
What is
the package?
Right.
We discussed that on one show. It's so complicated, but Peter Frampton has sold his publishing rights.
That's what I'm curious about. Right.
And now I had this all written down, what publishing rights are as opposed to copyright. It is a different animal. Mm-hmm. I believe publishing is the real money.
Right.
Because I guess if you put out sheet music,
it always has been, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, did Bruce Springsteen sell his publishing rights and he still controls the copyrights? That's what I'm curious about. Are you just selling permission to use your songs in commercials or movies or whatever?
So he's still getting paid a copyright. He sold the publishing.
That's what I'm curious about.
He'll get the copyright, which is much less of a percentage, obviously.
So it's some continued revenue for Peter Frampton.
So I guess we have to do some research on this, because that's what I'm really curious about. selling your publishing is different than selling your copyrights.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I read a really good article on it, and
Yeah.
I love law. I love court decisions. I love all that stuff, but it's hard for me to understand. It's like you read it and
Well,
it's just like,
legalese.
whoa, yeah, it's legalese. That's what it
Yeah.
is. But I'll send you guys. I got some links on some good stuff and researching that. It's interesting.
But you figure for the amount of money that they get, they're selling. They're selling the majority of what they own. Obviously,
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the copyright. So when Bruce Springsteen sold his
He
publishing
sold his
rights,
catalog. So it says he sold his
Okay.
catalog.
his catalog. Well, there you go. That's another term.
There it
but-
is. Is it the
well,
publishing?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's just a term. That's an overall term. So
Yeah.
even if that means that he sold his publishing only, does that mean that, say, Max Weinberg, for instance, does he not get a mechanical royalty every time Born in the USA is played somewhere? Is that
Well,
I
did
think
he
it's-
ever? I mean, is Max
I-
Weinberg
oh.
credited on it?
He's not credited, but I think if you're a musician, I think the thing is the guys will get the band got royalties that they didn't talk
Yeah.
about.
And
Okay.
Might not have been a whole lot of
Bland was
money.
Hal Bland got paid too for some of
Yeah,
those
yeah,
big
yeah.
hits that he played on. Yeah, yep.
Go out to your mailbox every goddamn morning, and there's a stuff full of checks. It's great.
Well, I guess that has to do with the musicians' unions, and they'll still, I'm sure they'll still continue to get what they deserve.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
How about being on
Yeah.
every number one hit for like 15 years? It's like,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
You know what, Lou? I say Gary Chester. You made a good point. He says, why isn't he as well known as
As Hal Blaine.
Hal Blaine? You know what? I think Hal Blaine had a good manager and promoter, because even though Hal Blaine was a drummer, he had a promoter.
Yeah. Well, he was also in
And-
Hollywood, Hal Blaine, too.
Well, their
he was
managers,
also
they had to find a way of getting them in the news here and there. Like a manager
Yeah.
might say, I'm going to get you
Yeah,
in this
publicist.
newspaper
Yeah,
article. Yeah. Publicist.
If you look at some of the guys in the Wrecking Crew, some guys were more laid back. Hal Blaine was almost like their leader. Him and was it Tommy Tedesco? They had personalities that just made them
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
That was the thing. Is that when you met Hal Blaine, you like the guy, but he was
Yeah.
just unmistakable.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
guys like Gary
yeah.
Chester, even some of Earl Palmer, one of the inventors of rock and roll, is a very unassuming guy. But damn.
That's right.
Early. We were playing some early things. Oh, some of that stuff that Gary Chester played on, and we're getting in that realm.
Mhm.
You listen to the rhythm of those songs. They're pounding rhythms in a lot of ways. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound. We grew up on the stuff we heard, the heavy stuff we heard with Zeppelin
Mhm.
early on in the late '60s. The Who, Cream, that was heavy.
Yeah.
But I didn't appreciate how heavy that stuff was back then. Even I think Earl Palmer is playing on Little Richard's Lucille. It's a heavy beat, and Ringo had a heavy beat, but
Yeah.
you had to go back and appreciate that. But
Yeah. So,
But
so,
you said something, Lou. Self-promotion also goes a long way, because who's that guy that played on all the Beatles songs? Bernard Purdie. He self-promoted
shameless
himself.
self-promotion.
He was
Yeah.
and then this guy, he's probably not like that. Like Perry said, he just wanted to play the music and so that's why I never heard of
Yep.
him. Yep.
So Frampton sells his publishing. No, he sold his publishing.
Publishing to
Yeah.
BMG, which is, again, it's some of these publishing deals, like the Stevie Nicks one it was like a company that was founded a year ago. There's these little companies that just have a ton of money. They're buying up those.
Yeah, they're buying
I
up.
don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
I wouldn't trust BMG. It's true. I think you could trust them a little more, but I don't know. Not in the music business. I love the music business. But... All right. So moving on, I think we're seeing a big problem with Steven Tyler. They had to cancel concerts again after they canceled concerts because he had to go into rehab. So Aerosmith have been forced to cancel both of their remaining 2022 concerts. Only 2 concerts, but why did December 7th and 11th concerts of the band's Deuces Are Wild Las Vegas residency have now been called off, bringing the total number of shows they've canceled this month to 4. It doesn't sound like a lot, but as you know, they've been canceling quite a few shows, and they say it's an undisclosed medical problem. His doctor doesn't want him to perform.
You know what that means. You know what?
Yeah.
This is what it means.
Yeah, because Tyler said on the advice. Oh, God.
Whenever there's anything sad, I'm going to play that.
No, I don't think it's anything. I think it's rehab. It's rehab.
I don't feel good.
Because
I hope so.
Yeah, because this is what the band said. As many of you know, our beloved brother Steven has worked hard on his sobriety for many years. This was actually the last time they canceled.
Mhm.
After foot surgery to prepare for the stage and the necessity of pain management during the process, he has recently relapsed and voluntarily entered a treatment program. This guy's having trouble, kicking his demons,
Yeah.
He's, love him or hate him, he is one of the biggest frontmen in rock.
Addiction
Oh, sure.
is, to understand addiction, it's serious. It's an illness.
Yeah.
It's not just like saying, snap out of it, get over it. Man, this is serious stuff. Addiction.
And I've since the 80s, I remember he came clean, then he went back. He came clean.
Mhm.
The last time he was, I think when they got permanent vacation, they were getting popular. I think that's when he cleaned up. And I Joe Perry cleaned up, and this is hard. It's hard for some people to do.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Even the other guitar player, Brad Whitford,
he's about
had some
71.
issues.
So,
Yeah.
they're in their 70s, right?
Yeah. Tyler is, Perry too.
Yeah.
They've been
I
around.
wonder how they're holding up under normal circumstances, being that age. I mean, think about this, 35 years ago, we didn't think about musicians touring in their 70s, rock musicians in their 70s. It's like, you got to be, people were making fun of the Stones back then.
Yeah.
And now it's just, it's what, as it's grown up, that's what they do, I wonder how he sounds.
What Pete Townsend said famously in the 60s, the thought of singing My Generation at 40, just kills me. And then 40 came and went.
Yeah. I hope I die before I get old, right?
Yeah.
That has changed, hasn't it?
But I think it would take on a whole new attitude now. I mean,
Yeah.
you're an aging baby boomer, and you're singing, My Generation,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or Generation
Anyway.
Jones.
Generation Jones. I don't know what I am. I forget what generation I am.
You're Gen X.
Am I? 69?
I'm telling you. Yeah.
69. Oh, okay. We won't go into that. Hey, guys, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you know when to leave Bob Dylan alone, when not to bother him?
No.
When he writes a book.
According to Bob Dylan's former touring guitarist, there is a specific signal he gives when he doesn't want to be spoken to.
Really?
You know Billy Burnett, that guitar player? He was with Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
I don't know if you know him.
Yep.
He toured with Bob Dylan in 2003 in his Australian and New Zealand tour. Kind of that's all he was there with. And Billy said it was a big thrill, and Bob liked me. They got along great. But even though Burnett got along well with Dylan, he soon learned when the singer-songwriter was not to be approached, namely when he put a hood over his head. Remember that if you ever meet Bob. When you wears a hood, you're not supposed to talk to him. I didn't know that until one day we were in line to get on a plane at the airport. I tapped him on the shoulder. The drummer said, No. He don't talk to anyone when he's got the hood on. Glad you told me. Then he also remarked, and I love this one, how Bob could disappear on a whim. He said, he's slippery. He can walk in an airport. They lost him one day. They couldn't find him anywhere. I'm in this little gift shop, and I turn around. There he is. He goes, hi, Billy. I was like, how did you get in here? He moves around. It's a weird thing. I love that.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
You got to figure after 50 years of people just all over your shit, that you find ways to say, not now, not being a dick, but not now,
And the slippery thing, he did a movie with who was Roseanne's husband, the actor?
John Goodman.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie he made with Bob Dylan?
No.
It was quirky. It was really quirky. They were asked to stage a concert, I think somewhere in Europe or the Middle East, and Bob Dylan played a music business guy. And to watch how he walked, he was kind of sneaky the way he walked. He was better than it was kind of interesting. The movie bombed, but he was funny.
But I have two. Go ahead, Lou.
I think except for Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, and The Last Waltz, the two other movies Bob Dylan was in were bombs. Ronaldo and Clara, or was it Streets of Fire? Or something? No, was that Bob Dylan? No, Ronaldo and Clara.
No.
Was there something called Hearts of Fire or Streets or something?
There was a Streets of Fire. That was kind of like a noir type action movie or something, wasn't it? Had one of those.
I think he was in some. I think Ronaldo and Clara was this kind of sort of biopic-ish thing, sort of thing. But
I have two little stories, Mark, that you mentioned about people not knowing when not to bother Bob, right?
Yeah.
remember
His Bobness.
the Rolling Thunder Review, right?
Uh-huh.
They did that whole tour, right? When was that? Mid 1970s, when he was in his white
Late
face
70s.
period. Yeah. They did a whole tour. They toured all over the country, and Mick Ronson was one of the guitar players on the tour. So was T-Bone Burnett. So someone asked Mick Ronson, after the tour, they go, "How was it? How was Bob? How was it working with Bob?" He goes, "I don't know. I've never spoken to him." So the whole tour, right? So in other words, you know what I mean? Stay away from Bob, man.
Wow.
And I have one other little story too. I saw G.E. Smith interviewed, and apparently Bob's manager contacted G.E. Smith and said, Bob wants to, they want to know if you want to jam with Bob a little bit, meet us at 10 o'clock at the studio, this rehearsal studio downtown, and they knew where it was. So so G.E. Smith brought T-Bone Walk and a drummer. He says, we need a bass player and a drummer. So they're there waiting in this studio, this rehearsal studio, and they're there at 10 o'clock. They said 10:45. Finally, Bob comes out of the dark in the back of the room with a hood on, and he was there all the time. He was there the whole time.
Let's see.
Wow.
They said he was probably there the whole time, and they said, Bob's, he's takes a lot. He's not into it. So they're just playing and playing and playing to get into it. And then Bob says to them, do you know, Pretty Peggy, some old song from the 1920s? And they go, yeah, we know that, and they played. Then Bob started getting a little motivated now, so they were there a couple hours, and that was it. Bob leaves.
Bob was listening to them.
G.E. Smith gets a call, and he goes, do you want to go on tour with Bob? He goes, well, we haven't auditioned or anything. He goes, no, that was the audition when they met him in the studio. That was the audition. So he took them on the road, and they did a tour with Bob. Yep.
And I'm sure if he didn't like what he heard being back in the shadows, he would have just left. Yeah, no,
he said because they knew those old songs that Bob was requesting. Apparently, he went to L.A., did a little thing there, met some guys in the studio. They didn't know the songs he was talking about.
Yeah.
And these other guys knew the songs he was talking about. Yep. Or he was talking about.
That's really, that's obscure because, what was the song name? Something Betty?
Pretty Peggy or something like that. Because Bob, they said, Bob knows 1,000 songs.
Yeah.
G.E. Smith said, I know hundreds of songs. He says, Bob knows thousands of songs.
Is it true G.E. Smith's name is General Electric Smith?
Excuse me.
Well, he is electric. And he's got a mug.
I don't know what his real name is.
That mug got him fired from Saturday Night Live. Remember that? They were telling him to stop mugging the camera. That's why he lost that gig. Yeah. He was always mugging right in the camera when they went to commercial.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, those guys that play for Bob Dylan, the Love and Theft album, he's got Augie Myers. That band is like, for you to play for Bob Dylan, you got to be a special kind of, not a well, G. Smith is a virtuoso, but actually so is Augie Myers. So the thought of even like saying you're going to try out for Bob Dylan. Wow. Yeah.
Well, he was saying he played with Bob Dylan for like 6 years.
The Endless Tour,
tours,
right?
Yeah.
I have a bootleg from that tour.
There's no hot shots, Bob Dylan doesn't take a gunslinger guitar player on tour,
right?
It's just these bands are so versed in music and just so.
Although he did in 1965, when he had Mike Bloomfield, that was explosive to say that was incendiary, man.
Yeah.
With Mike Bloomfield at the the Newport Jazz Festival.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wild.
Anything else in there, or do we go to the Terry Jackson?
Do you guys know about do you guys know about this feud between Jimmy Page and Robbie Williams?
Who's Robbie Williams?
He's a pop singer from I think
England.
The 80s. Yeah, English.
No, I don't know anything about it. What's going down?
Okay. Well, so Jimmy Page lives in Tower House. It's a historic building in London.
No.
He's owned it since 1972. And it possesses a grade 1 listing that allows for some governmental protection. And evidently, he does take care of the house. He's concerned about the future of the house.
Yeah.
Well, Robbie Williams has a house next door. And in 2015, this goes back, this started in 2015.
Yeah.
When Robbie Williams got the house, he announced he was going to work on the basement of his mansion, where he planned to install a swimming pool, recording studio, gym, and a new window overlooking Page's property.
Mhm.
Page objected, saying, well, first of all, he doesn't want him looking in his garden, I'm sure, and I don't blame him. But he also said that the excavating to do all that was going to affect the foundation of his house. He had a valid complaint. They listened to him, and they told Williams he could only proceed if he used manual tools, no electric equipment or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. So, he was starting to work, but now it seems that Robbie Williams wants to build a 2-story wall between him and Page's house because he doesn't want anyone looking in his yard. They obviously really hate each other, these two guys.
Wow.
Page is saying again to put in the support for a 2-story wall could affect his foundation. I think he's right. He's got a point. This sounds like he's got a really nice, this tower house or whatever. It's probably Victorian and everything.
Sure.
So anyway, so that's what's going on with that. But this whole thing, I was following it 5 years ago. It got so bitter that Robbie Williams used to go out dressed like Robert Plant just to make fun of Jimmy Page. It's really like Robbie Williams just sounds like a snit to me.
That's pretty.
I've
petty.
never heard of him.
He had some big hits.
He did. I can't name one. He said he's a pop singer, I think, right?
Yeah. But anyway, the feud, hasn't stopped. So this whole thing, it's funny, and you could say, oh, it's just two rich guys. But when I first heard it, I said, oh, Page is being jerk or whatever. I said, no, he's got this historical landmark. So I'm going to follow that story because you know what? Page may come out with a gun one day. All right.
I don't think so.
Page gets too skinny to carry a gun. No, he can carry a Les Paul. He's pretty strong. And my last story, Journey have hired a new manager. Even though they're all fighting with each other, they hired Mike Kobayashi, and he's part of CMS Management. Who also manages Lenny Kravitz, Jeff Lynne, Stevie Nicks, and Def Leppard. And let's see, this guy's got his work out for him. That's all I got to say on that story because it really isn't much else. It's just they got a new manager. It's just interesting. They're in bad shape right now. So this new manager will see a lawsuit very soon. That's coming in March, a few months away.
He's going to sort everything out.
Absolutely.
He was brought on board to straighten the mess out, obviously, and make everyone agree about something.
I think Lou, you mentioned it. They need Irving Azoff because if he could keep the Eagles together.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He can be their little Satan.
By the way, go back to DIY real quick. I did buy the new Journey, and they all recorded it at their own studios. And even the singer recorded his vocals in Philippines. And Narada Michael Walton, I'm sure you know him, that drummer, he produced it. And I got to say, I love the songs. Sounds like shit. It's overly
Is it
compressed.
in sync? It's too digital.
Oh, no, that's fine. Their sounds, the performances are great. If it was on a VU meter, it was probably like moving like this. There's no dynamics. And so mastering, I hate it. I hate the mastering, and I almost can't listen to it. And I want to listen to it.
Is it recorded on separate studios because they hate each other?
No, it was lockdown. It was recorded over the lockdown. So I think, Arnold, whenever they don't tour, I think Arnold, the singer, goes back to the Philippines. Jonathan Cain lives in Colorado, I believe. He's got his own home studio. And Neil Schon just recorded with, he had Narada with him in his studio. Narada Michael Walden played drums on it. And they got Randy Jackson back on bass. Dog. But, Perry, I'll come over one day. I'll play you the CD. I know you're just going to love it. It's fabulous.
Oh, yeah. I need a coaster anyway. I need a new coaster. How about we do a one-hit wonder? How do you feel about that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Do you feel about that, Lou?
I feel good about it.
This will be one. Well, you know what? I'm going to play a couple seconds of it, and you guys guess what it is, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Venus. Shocking Pink. Or is that Bananarama?
It's Venus.
Bananarama did a version of that. Yeah. It's called, the group is called Shocking Blue.
Shocking Blue. Oh, yeah. That's the Shocking Pink, didn't I?
Shocking Blue. Yeah. And I
didn't get it.
believe they were Dutch. I think they were Dutch.
So they're the ones that originally did that song, huh?
Yes. Yep. That was about 1969. We had the 45. Yep. I love that.
Okay.
I love that. I always loved that. Used to give me chills. Just a guitar intro, you know, that sort of Tommy like.
I almost thought it was Pinball Wizard for a second. I was like,
Me
Pinball
too.
Wizard or
Me too.
Venus. Okay.
Wonder if they were influenced by that.
Oh,
But wait,
yeah.
both 69?
That was about probably 1969. Shocking Blue. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, Tommy was 69 too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the publishing to that song has been sold long time ago because you hear that, and I think financial institutions are all using rock songs now. The Fix is Saved by Zero. I think I've heard Venus by some kind of
Bananarama
thing,
did a pop version of that. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the 80s, 90s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Early 80s.
Yep. I've got another one-hit wonder. Mark, does Mark
Lay
still
it
have
on us.
headphones on? Is he still there?
Mark has collapsed in his chair. There he's back.
He's collapsed.
I was
into
asking
now.
the bartender to pour me another wine. I'm sorry. Bartender, thank you. Okay.
Barkeep.
Who's that? Who's your
I got the
bartender? George Stewart
the-
Thorogood is your bartender?
No, I got the guy from The Shining, that bartender.
Lloyd,
Lloyd, there you go. Lloyd.
you got some advocat on your lapel there, Lloyd.
I've got another one-hit wonder. It's another European band also. Like I say, when I say one-hit wonder, I'm talking on the American charts. I don't know how
European
big these
outside,
groups
that's what
were
you're
in
doing.
Europe. Right. So here's one that we had this 45 as well.
Who's we?
My Bellamy. We're a child of the sun and the sky and
in the deep blue sea.
Ma Bellamy. Après tous les beaux jours, je te dis merci, merci.
I assume
French.
that was French, or
Who is
Remember the
that?
name of the
That
group?
was me.
No,
Bellamy. Yeah.
that's the name of the group.
No, the name of the group,
No.
the song was Ma Bellamy.
Right.
Ma Bella. Me.
This may have been another Dutch group also.
Like
They
Malcolm
were
McNeil.
called T-Set. The T-Set.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Good one. I always thought that title was Ralph Bellamy, like the actor.
Yeah.
Ralph Bellamy. Wow.
Yeah,
I
I think-
like that big drum. I like that big drum in it.
I like that
oh.
too. Yeah, it was almost timpani, or right? Like,
It was almost Tim Panic, Perry.
yeah.
It was.
Have you got a
Timpanesque.
one-hit wonder, Lou?
You bet your ass I do.
Well, let's hear it because I got another one too.
All right. I'm only gonna try to give you guys two notes. It may not
Two
work.
notes. Can you name
Cover
that
your-
tune? I can name that
Cover
tune.
your phone
in
this
two
time.
notes.
What's that?
Cover
Yeah,
your
cover my
phone this time. You gave it away one time.
I know. All right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm
There it
giving
is.
the
Take it
listeners
away.
out there a chance to catch up on
What
that
is it?
too.
All right. I'm gonna play it again, and then you'll tell me.
Yep, I believe I know what it is. I believe it's an English group.
Yes.
I believe they were called the Vapors,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And they may have had like 2 hits in this country. Yeah, they were like a 1 or 2 hit wonder in this country, right? That was
One-hit
Turning
wonder.
Japanese.
Turning Japanese by the Vapors.
Yep.
Yep.
You know the year.
I would guess 1979.
That's what I say too. Oh.
I thought so too. However, it is not. 1980.
Ah.
Turning
Cusp of the
Japanese,
new
1980
decade.
by the new wave power pop band, the Vapors. They were originally VAPOURS, like British, but they wanted to be more American or sound better than American, so they dropped the U. Do you know the U.S. Billboard chart placing? Because he cracked the top 40, because that is our criteria, I think. But you know it's chart placement. Perry, you got last week's chart placement.
37.
You said 37, but that is not it.
12.
It was not a number 1 hit.
It was not number one. It's not in the
Not
top 10.
nearly number 1. Yeah.
Ah.
No, it's not.
All right, it was number
not.
17 on the charts in the
No.
Billboard
no.
Hot 100.
No.
I don't know.
My
Lower.
sister Sue would know because Sue,
Lower.
if you're listening, she
Lower.
played that.
Yeah,
the
but
hell out of that
if she
song.
reads Billboard magazine, or
she was at
song
Rutgers
hits,
at the
yeah.
time.
All right. you each get one more guess. Mark, you got
number 23.
24.
Mark said 24, Perry said 23. No. Number 36
Damn.
Wow.
Just
on the
top
U.S.
40.
Billboard. Yep.
Just
Yeah, it
cracked
just made the top 40.
Cracked the top 40. Yeah.
Just
Yep.
yep. And last week's, I forgot what it was, but it was number 37. It was number 3 on the UK singles chart. Now, they were you guys will like this little tidbit. They were discovered by the Jam's Bruce Foxton, the bass player.
Huh.
Wow.
Okay. So Foxton co-managed the Vapors with John Weller, who is the father of Paul Weller and also Paul Weller's manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they opened up for the Jam on their Setting Suns tour in 1979.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yep.
Weller connection.
Weller connection. I like the producer's name. I never heard him before, but it is so British. It is Vic Coppersmith / Heaven.
Wow.
He lives in Shropshire and Shropshire. Yeah, so,
Lot
but that was a big hit. I mean, even a top 40 hit in the U.S. is a top 40 hit. That song got played a lot in America, but it wasn't played. Those bottom of the top 40s are kind of cool because they weren't overplayed, but they were
you heard
kind
them,
of
but
cool
not
songs.
Yeah, you didn't hear them as much as the top 10 hit on the radio.
Right. What was it? What was the number one on Billboard's number one song in 1980? I mean, who the hell knows what it was? But
I don't know.
You heard it a trillion times.
But hold on, let me think.
Yeah, right. Recall memory banks.
Charlie Rich.
Hey, 1980. It could have been almost disco.
Well, I've got one more one-hit wonder. I think this group, another one, we had this 45. When I say we, I mean, my sisters or, we just,
familia.
Somebody gave it to or whatever. This group might be American.
We.
This group might be American.
Okay.
We. Hitchin' a Ride.
Song's called Hitchin' a Ride.
Yep.
One-hit wonder.
One-hit wonder by.
The group was called Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I always knew that song. Never knew who sang it.
Vanity Fair. Those were big radio hits.
Yeah.
AM radio hits.
Yeah, AM radio hits. Yep.
Okay. That was played right after Sweet City Woman.
Yeah. With
We listened to the radio back then. Now, who was Sweet City Woman? The banjo.
I don't know.
We've talked about them, but we forgot.
Yeah, I can't.
Is that one of your cringe songs?
No, Oliver, Blitty Blop Bloopy is one of my cringe songs.
You got more than one, Perry.
I have a lot of cringe songs.
It's got that weird banjo in it.
Like Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? What are you? Chicken?
I'm Colonel Sanders before he went tits up. I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken. Oh.
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel?
Because he puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smart arse.
Scotsman.
Boltzmann.
Hey, at least it wasn't beady. Right.
We let off the show with that. I did anyway.
You know what? That's a good
It's
DWI
EBDB.
test.
EBDB.
Yeah, and if you pull someone over, you want to give them DWI, just tell them to do that. They go, they're drunk.
Really?
Yeah, try and do it after a bunch of drinks.
EBDB. First, you have to say Royal Albert Hall 5 times in a row.
Royal Albert.
What does that do?
Royal Albert Hall. Say it. Maggot. Royal Albert Hall.
Hall Rabbit Oil.
Royal.
So, Lou,
this
group called the Monks.
Wait. We're talking about an album in a minute, right?
We are.
Yeah. If you know it's Sunday, it's pizza night.
Oh,
okay.
Well, I guess we're going to have to talk about other forms of DIY, Perry. See, now, if Lou could do a DIY pizza, he could do it himself.
He could, or...
Is that Rockford Files?
No, that's depressing. That's depressing
Angel,
music.
get me my sandwich.
Whenever there's a depressing song, I'm going to do that now. We can play this, though, while we're waiting.
1877 Cars for Kids. KAR.
That's a fancy mix. They added a solo and everything. Man,
Donate your car today.
Yep. I'd rather sell my car to somebody that needs a car. And if it's got 150,000 miles, I'll give him a deal. Oh,
Let's see. While we're waiting for Lou, right?
yeah.
We'll do this.
Lou's trying to find his coupon for Domino's. Oh, I'm in trouble.
Oh, he's picking up a pizza pie.
Yeah. I was going to get delivery tonight.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I care because I was going to order a pizza tonight, but it's snowing up here and the roads are icy. So
Why, you have snow up there?
a lot. And it's an inch, but it's really slick. And poor Anthony has to walk home from work. I hope he doesn't slip.
How far does he have to walk home from work?
He's about 5 blocks away. It's not bad at all. But we live on a hill, and it's always slippery. Oh, Lou's back. I hear it. He's going to come on with a big slice of pizza. He's going to be like,
You think so?
it's a Lisa's pizza. I'm telling you, he's getting Lisa's. He won't admit it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into this bickering with Tony D's or
Nothing-
Lisa's Pizza.
Nothing starts an argument like pizzerias. I tell you. We got 7 in Pearl River. And everyone is, that's the best. No, that's the best. Oh,
But they're all
shut up.
different. That's the great thing about it. They're all
Yeah.
different.
It's
Right?
like music. Pizza's personal, like music. Right?
Yeah, unless you like fast pizza like Domino's, where it tastes the same throughout the whole country. You could go in, Florida and buy Domino's.
Yeah.
It tastes the same as Domino's in New Jersey.
Each slice has a teaspoon of sugar in it. Yep.
Yeah, I see. Excuse me.
But it's not snowing down by you, huh? Oh.
No snow. Nope.
Hey, Lou, did you find your
Yes.
coupon for Domino's?
I sure did.
Oh, good. Yeah, I see. Yeah, okay.
All right. How we doing?
Doing good.
I think Lou's
I feel like
got
I'm
his,
looking at the 70s.
he's got
now.
his mid-60s psychedelia light happening.
Waiting for Tommy Chong to walk in.
It's time for the free.
Well, I think
that time.
I think we're going back to 1966 for a talk.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going back in time to the golden age of garage rock,
Yeah, good.
and we're going to other dimensions.
So
other
who are
dimensions
these?
in music.
Who are these guys called the Monks?
The Monks. These guys. This is one of the most interesting bands I've ever heard. I'm so glad I found them by accident on YouTube. They were just called Monks, but like the Eagles, they're called the Monks. There were 5 American GIs that were stationed in Heidelberg, Germany in the early 60s. They formed in 64. Just a groundbreaking avant-garde proto-punk band. They're the progenitor to a lot of punk. They did one album. This is a one album thing.
Yeah.
And it's been so influential to me, to everyone from the Beastie Boys to, I think, Nirvana. I had some of their other influences mentioned later on. So yeah, they put out one album. It's radical. It was subversive. Their whole look. They dressed like monks. They shaved the back of their heads, and it's called a tonsure.
Yeah,
The
they
monks'
they
tonsure,
shaved
that-
monk caps on
shaved
their head.
heads.
Yeah.
They wore the things. So
Yeah.
they were so subversive, and the things, they were in the service. So they didn't go. It looks like they didn't go to Vietnam.
They got out just before the war. If it was 64, if they formed the band, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're in 65, so I think they recorded this in 66. They did some singles. They were called the Turquoise or the Torquays before that.
The Torquays.
It was named after
yeah.
some kind of it was a surf instrumental that they were influenced by. A band called I forgot the name of the band. The song called the Torquay. So they put out an album in 1966 called Black Monk Time. They did a lot of Chuck Berry covers. They had a German management team that were very influential in their whole look, the sound that they made. Their instrumental sound was all feedback. It was all rhythm. It was so drum heavy. If I could be 20 in 1966, I would want to be in this band. I think the drummer's fantastic. And so this German, there was 3 or 4 people that managed them and kind of influenced them a lot and said, this is the way you should look and just do this kind of stuff. It was all rhythm. They didn't, Perry, you'd like this. They didn't use cymbals conventionally. Cymbals were used for accenting. There was no hi-hat ride going all the time.
Yep.
It was like a lot of tribal stuff, feedback.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
And they had a guy he played a 6-string banjo.
there was a guy with a 6-string banjo. So I'll give the guys names. Man, there's so much stuff on them. Where's the name of these guys? My crazy lightning.
The Notebook opens.
The Notebook opens, yeah. So the Monks were Gary Berger was the lead vocalist, lead guitarist. Larry Clark played vocals. They all sang, but Gary Berger was the lead vocalist. Larry Clark played a filicorda organ. It was from the Philips company. They made it. It was the first instrument they ever made. It was for home use, like a Magnus chord organ.
Interesting.
This guy
Yeah.
This guy took and did all kinds of crazy things with it. It was Roger Johnston was on vocals and drums. This guy was a monster. He was a monster. The original drummer was a German guy named Hans. That's all they had. It was just Hans.
Yeah. Hans.
Then he became part of Franz and became a weightlifter. You little girly men.
Pick things up, put things down.
Dave Day was on vocals and the electric 6-string banjo. When you listen to it, I was like, where's the banjo? It's that high.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a banjo. It sounds more like a guitar, like a really tinny guitar, but it's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You play them like a guitar. Neil Young has one of those as well. Yep.
Okay. But the German management team, they had a lot to do with how they came out. And it was recorded in, it looks like Cologne, Germany, in some recording studio. I have a friend whose wife is German, and the way you pronounce Cologne in German is Köln. So it was pronounced in Köln, in Germany. The songs were all credited to all 5 members. Was it 12 songs or 13 songs on the whole thing originally?
12 originally, yeah.
There's 12. Yeah. I mean, I like every song. It's freak out music, but they're saying things. You know, the first song, Monk Time. Most of the songs are not over 3 minutes. There's 2 songs over 3 minutes.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, there's some short songs in there. Monk Time
is the one that's a Gregorian chant. The song?
They all, no, but most of them have some kind of chanting in it.
Yeah,
that's the song. It's got the anti-Vietnam lyrics. He's talking about, my brother died in Vietnam. He's like, why do you want to kill the Viet Cong? It's blatant for servicemen, blatantly anti-war.
And so early in the war, too.
Yeah, man. And, you know, this was 66. You couldn't do that shit now.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they got, and they're on Polydor Records, so that was a big company.
Right.
But, you know, it's got that fuzzy guitar, excuse me, a lot of fuzz bass. Mm-hmm. You know, that organ, that's a weird sound organ. It's kind of cheesy, but it's really,
I wasn't
really
sure
cool.
if that was a Farfisa or a Vox organ or, you know, something.
It says Farfisa, like on Wikipedia, but from what I saw, it's called like a filicorda, or a lot of it, it's a filicorda organ. Yeah, I saw the picture of it. It looks like a little Moog thing.
Yeah, cool sounding keyboards. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. But apparently they all got, you know, state of the art instruments for the time at they did it. But what it took them a year of just working, trying to get the sound together to get to sound like they did when they went to the studio to record that.
Yeah.
I think the producer is a guy named Jimmy Bowian. I think he was Dutch maybe, but he produced a lot of some obscure stuff, but he produced some fairly well-known people during their time. You know, when it came out, it was music like that's not going to go over huge. It was kind of received lukewarmly. It wasn't the big thing it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, because of the lyrical content, a lot of it, and Polydor didn't release it in America. So they had a few things in the German markets in Europe and stuff like that. They did tours. I mean, I think they played with Bill Haley. They did some opening touring for Bill Haley while they were recording the album. But, you know, it's funny. Speaking of recording, because the music was so intense, there was so much going on, they each recorded in separate corners, all baffled off. So each player had to be separated to get this thing, but they recorded it live. And I think I think the record sounds great. I mean, I don't think there's anything lacking. It's one of those things that every song is bizarre and stuff. Yeah. It's totally weird music, but I think every song is really good.
It's avant-garde. It's like Devo, 10 years ahead of Devo. You know,
for 1966, the sound was really good for that time.
The sound was really good. I don't know who engineered it. I don't know the name of the studio because, you know, I don't know how many studios were like really well known in Köln, Germany. But now it's one of those things where at the time it was like, you know, okay, this is something. But now it's so widely acclaimed. There's been reissues. There's a documentary. I'll mention the title later. But About.com said something, I think it's off of Wikipedia, that said possibly the first punk record, the obvious birthplace of krautrock, the missing link of alternative music history, where this is like I mean, I'm influenced by it.
There's a little bit of a lot of things in there. There's even a little bit that harkens back to the 50s almost, like a little doo-wop style almost. And one of the songs actually say like doo-wah-diddy or doobie-doobie or something.
We do.
Do.
Yeah.
It's on the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. On Spin Magazine, it's number 45 on their list of the top alternative albums of the 60s. I know there weren't that many alternative albums in the 60s. But, now it's like, I'm sure there's Monk's tours and all that stuff and bands doing, there have been covers. I think, what's the guy's name up from The Fall? Is it Mark Smith? Is he one of those Mark Smiths? That's in the band The Fall?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And the walls came down. No, that was The Call. No, The Fall.
The Fall.
Yeah. But, I mean, the songs, the first song, the Monk Time anti-war song, it's got that boom, down, boom, down, boom, down. I mean, it's all driving. It's all, Gary Berger said, it's all about rhythm. Whoever played in this band had to play for rhythm. So, it's just, but the bass player was a jazz guy, and apparently Gary Berger was leery about bringing him in. But the bass playing is great on this record. I mean, a lot of fuzz bass, but.
Well, anything I've seen of them, everyone's dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were wild to see in clubs, and they went over well with younger people. Some people were controversial. They were dressed like monks. That was considered blasphemous. And in the early '60s, we're not going that too far ahead. But
I really like that third song. It's called "Boys Are Boys" and "Girls' Choice" or something.
The second song is called "Shut Up." I mean, it's a rhythmic stomp. That's got chanting vocals in it. That to me sound like the Gregorian monks or something. But the bass is prominent. Yeah, but that third song, "Boys Are Boys and Girls Are Choice," it's 1:23.
Yeah.
I think that's when you can really hear the banjo on it.
Yeah, let me see. I may have a sample of that here.
You got some samples.
Let me see. There's that wacky keyboard.
Yeah. Yep.
That was called "Boys Are Boys and Girls' Choice."
And girls
boys
are
choice. Boys and girls are choice.
Yep. And he mentioned you hear somebody goes cuckoo in there. Going back after they did this album, they have a song called "Cuckoo." I'll talk about it after because there were some reissues. There's like 4 or 5 songs they recorded after this album.
Yeah,
and I think I think they're great. I think they're amazing, but they were after the facts. But there's a song called "Cuckoo" that they did later on. What do you think, Mark? So far, is this caught you at all, or
I got to tell you, first of all, "Higgly Die, Piggly Die." I mean, I love that.
That's the next song. That's the 4th song.
All right, yeah, and I just got to say, like, I'm one of these guys that'll ruin my steering wheel if the rhythms are really good. Like, I'm one of these guys that hits my steering wheel. So this album is getting black and blue on my hands. I'm listening. It's like, you ever see the Family Guy episode where Peter has the bird as the word and he goes nuts with it? And he gets
Louis told me about it.
Bird is a word, bird. Yeah. So I'm listening to this in the car today. I'm driving in the snow and I'm just like hitting the steering wheel.
You're a steering wheel drummer, man. Yeah, we all
are,
I am.
That's all I can do.
Perfect. That means the album worked. The rhythm, it's all rhythm. It's all driving. They said they were. The guy Gary Berger said, he goes, we were trying to get the most out of the beat. He goes, I want this bam, 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 bam. And so, I mean, the drummer had a field day.
Yeah.
And I never heard of anything he did after that. The drummer, they all went into like other businesses once the band folded up because they didn't last all that long after this. They all did other things, But it was Higgle Die, Pickle Die, or Higgledy Piggledy. So he's an eccentric vocalist. I like his voice. It's just weird.
Higgly Die, Piggly Die.
So what's the next song called? Yep. Next song's called
I Hate You. This is the longest song on the record at 3 minutes and 32 seconds.
This is the one with like some fuzz. It's very fuzzy.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Do you have the sample?
No. Nope.
Okay.
I can give you a quick one.
Yeah. What's a blues beat?
That bass is massive.
That is fuzzy, man. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The lyrics are funny because it's like, yeah, I hate you, baby, with a passion. But the chorus goes, but call me. The rest of it's so weird.
You know what? It sounds like a -5 lyric. right?
Could be. It could be. I'm sure. He's got this record.
But to
Scott
me,
McCoy.
the shaving your head to the monk's cap it's just like Devo with their little Devo things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's their thing. You know,
The flower pots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it was so weird at the time. At that point in time, like 66. I mean, that according to Bill Kelly of Little Steven's Underground Garage, formerly of Teenage Wasteland on WFMU, Garage Rock 1966 is the year that he said this just gelled. Everything that was good about that period, Garage Rock and other things, was just happening in that year.
Yeah.
And this 1966, it's just proof
Before
of
the
it. I'm
Summer
sure
of
he's
love. Yeah.
yeah, right before the Summer of Love. Yep.
Yeah. And they're in
66
Germany.
Ain't the Summer of Love, and they're in Germany.
Yeah, I think that contributed to them. I don't think if they were playing in America, well, they wouldn't be able to tour in the United States in '66 with that. So Germany afforded them that chance.
Yeah, Polydor recorded it after hearing the songs, but then decided not to release it. That's kind of like censorship. The war was going on, and that was a lot of protesting was going on then too. But, yeah. So they were hobbled all along the way, but they cracked all the German markets that they could crack, and then after that, you're just going to play gigs, and it's either that or you change your formula. But so
now
that
the next song is really good, called "Oh How Do You Do It Now."
Oh, How to Do Now? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another. It's full of fuzz bass, a very up tempo. It almost sounded conventional for them for about 30 seconds, but the chorus, I love the chorus. This was their B side of a single. They actually put out an A B side single. Like, I'm
Well,
trying
let's
to
see. Hold on.
Well, I've been waiting for long, long, long,
do it now.
I hear the guy from the Beastie Boys singing that.
Perry, check this out. The Beastie Boys have listed them as an influence.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
I hear that guy. I don't know his name, but you know who I mean. The guy who
I'm not
was
sure.
pretty much the
Yeah.
singer
Adam?
of the Beastie.
Okay. Adam Yauch.
Yeah. No,
King Ad Rock.
no, the other guy.
Bernard Purdy.
Lou Diamond, I think his name
Lou
is.
Diamond
So,
Phillips.
I don't know.
All right, let's move on.
Bill Diamond.
But that's a good song. Yeah.
Right, and that is the second longest song on the album at 3 minutes and 14 seconds. But
Ooh,
that's a really
prog
good song.
band.
The beat, those beats are just relentless. You could dance your ass off all night to that.
Yep.
So that was the A side. The B side starts with their song "Complication," which was the A side. That was the single that they put out. And if you look at him, he goes "Constipation."
That's a heavy song, man. That's
Listen,
heavy.
Yeah, it is, but like that's what they picked as their A side single.
Well,
yeah.
So this lets you know what these guys were thinking. They were not, they were tired of musical norms, musical conventions. So they just did their own friggin' thing.
That it seems
Great
to
drums
me
on
like
this.
it
Great
had
drums
a
on
little,
that song, Perry.
Yeah, it had a little part. The lyrics like Monk Time. I mean, they did the line "People die for you." I wonder if they were getting on the anti-war thing.
That's funny because I wrote down "People go to their deaths for you." That was one of the
what
lyrics.
it is. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that was Spotify doesn't link them up properly because it's so wigged out.
Yeah. Well, there's something about that. If I could just say, in the very beginning, the guitar sound is so unlike anything in 1966. And I'll just play it real quick. Just the very beginning.
Yeah, do it, man.
Wait.
Constipation.
That's
You know what that
garage.
reminds me of?
That's garage.
That
Garage
guitar
band.
sound, the first thing I thought was Hendrix. And they did tour with Hendrix. And
They
sometimes
did.
they say, did Hendrix hear them playing? Like that sound? That was before Hendrix had that sound.
Wow. Wow.
That is a totally fuzzed out, phased guitar sound.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He played a modified Vox Beetle amp. It was called like a Super Beetle or something, but whatever he did to modify it, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's the guitar. The banjo thing is you hear that really high, high tinny thing. It just adds augments.
And the bass player had sort of like those Gibson SG type bass,
Yeah.
with the
So you saw their live thing where they're
with
doing
the-
monk time. Yeah.
with the Florentine cutaways on the bass guitar.
Yeah.
What's this song called? We Do, Wig Do?
Well,
What is it?
So that song, I mean, and the drums in that song are just amazing. So that was the A side. The next song is We Do, We Do.
Yeah.
I called it, when I first heard this, it sounds like Bruce Springsteen in an alternate universe. There's this almost Gary U.S. Bonds, like Bruce, like Sherry Darling thing happening for a bit, and then everything here mutates into something else. When you think you got it, or you think like this could be the single, like no, it's just they're too throwing the monkey wrenches in there.
Yeah, well, that's the song where they actually say like "doobie doo" or something in there.
Yeah. But also, it's got some great fuzz guitar grunge in there too. It's like I'm not an outstanding guitar player, but that sound like that was.
Well, you know what?
Said,
like
Mark, that might have been the progenitor to Hendrix.
A little bit that Mark just played. I hear Jack White.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So they're influential.
Yeah.
Very influential.
So what about Drunken Maria? Drunken Maria.
Drunken
the
Mark.
shortest song on the record at 1 minute and 44.
Good keyboards, though.
What's that?
Keyboards pretty much take the song, right?
Oh yeah, it's got that kind of a halftime skipping beat. It's all fuzz, but it's almost accessible. When I first heard, going back and listening, I said this could have been the single from it. But then I'm like, well, it's 1 minute 44, and it's just not quite. It gets there, but it's almost not quite. But it's a funny song. That tells her not to fall asleep. Like a drunk girl falls asleep, man. Oh my god, even like a frat rock song.
And is there a song called "Love Comes Tumbling Down"? Is that it?
That's the 10th song on the record. This, to me, would be the single A side. It's almost like I saw the lyrics. It's almost like a lost love meant.
Want to hear a little bit of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 50s.
Yeah.
That's a teaser. You can hear it on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
It is a good song. Like I said, that's maybe one of the catchier things on there.
To a point.
All
the songs to a point.
Yeah, to a point. Like I said, you think it got something going? Like, no, it just goes somewhere else. The next song is called "Blast Off" because
now is this an instrumental pretty much, except for a little bit of This song's very avant-garde. Blast
It's
Off.
very avant-garde.
Very avant-garde. Yeah.
I thought it starts like an instrumental, but it's got the great lyric: "Treat the spider with a little respect." For what it's worth. It's got a spacey keyboard sound, but this was definitely one of the more. I mean, the whole thing's avant-garde, but this is definitely one of the more avant-garde songs on it. 2 minutes and 12 seconds. That's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
The long songs, I think if there's a weak song in, the one I like the least is the "I Hate You." I think the song went on too long because I was so used to hearing all these short songs in this record. I thought, you could have shaved 30 seconds off that and made it maybe more interesting. But
hey Lou,
yeah,
can you imagine a poor A&R guy at Polydor? He's like, find a single. Like he's probably sitting at his desk loosening his tie. I don't know. What do we do? What we get? It's like they fool everybody.
Can I get you to him? No, I would have loved this. I would have said, that's the single. You don't get it. That one song, "Blast Off," also has a line: jalapeno habanero, burning off all your hair down there. I got another one. Wait, those red things in the Kung Pao? Pick them out. they're talking about Kung Pao chicken.
Now, the last song, "That's My Girl," this is a great closer for the record. It's a great closer. Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yes, it is. Did you see the lyrics, or if you see them, he's taunting some guy about his girlfriend. It looks like he's like, "That's a good-looking girl. You're going to make love to her tonight, aren't you? That's a good-looking girl." But he's almost needling the guy. I'm not sure what his point is in finality, but it's a great closer.
Did he pick someone in the audience at the shows to sing that to?
Oh, God, yeah.
And this is Germany.
Picking on some drunk servicemen. Yeah. Well, also, it's funny because before Polydor would sign them, they wanted to see them at the Top 10 Club in Berlin. And as we know, I mean, that's where the Beatles played. When the Beatles were at their peak in Hamburg, they played the Top 10 Club, the Kaiser Keller. And so they played after the fact, but they played a lot of the same clubs that the Beatles played when the Beatles made their bones. as a live band.
Yeah.
But I like the chorus on "That's My Girl," where he's taunting it, and the rest of the band's going, "Yeah." It's like, you're gonna make love to it tonight. Yeah. These guys are wild. I mean, I would love to have met them. I'd love them. Quite a few of them have passed on at this point.
Yeah. So I hear, like I said, I hear the Beastie Boys in there. I hear Devo. I hear Jack White. I hear those kind of things.
Now, in '94, Repertoire Records reissued some bonus tracks. And what they did after when this record came out, they were like, "What do we do?" They thought they were going to be bigger than they were, but their producer convinced them to maybe go in a little more of an accessible, maybe less eccentric direction. So they did record some things. I think they're very good. I think by their standards, it's probably total sellout material, but I think they're really good songs. But I didn't put them on the thing, but I'm going to try to bring something up here. Let's see.
Well, I have one. I don't know if this is the one you're talking about.
1 second. Wait. The Monks. Wait. We're improv here.
The lights are getting in the way.
The Monks, Love Can Tame the Wild.
I got it if you need it.
I got it. Wait.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have it more readily accessible than I do?
Yeah. Here, ready? That's totally different than what was on the album.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But the chorus, love can tame. Can you feel the taste of silver moonlight?
Was there a song on the record called
Right.
Was there a song on the record called "I Can't Get Over You"?
That's one of the reissues. That's one of the bonus tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have one here, I think.
That's
country, man. That's country.
You. Yeah.
Look, that and Love Contain the Wild, they're like, obviously they're trying to be a little more mainstream, get a single. It sounds like there was forces in the band saying, let's change a little bit. Yeah.
In fact, what happened was at that point, I guess part of the record company and the producer was like, change something. So at that point, the singer, Gary Bergen, the drummer, stopped doing the Monk stuff, started wearing different, they were starting to maybe be their own band as opposed to be that image that, made them well known.
Yeah.
Around that same time, there were some weird things. Like there was I saw a beach movie and there was a surf band on. Everyone's got a shaved head. All these guys which was bizarre back then, but they're all like doing flips off the stage. Like they're almost like the presidents of the United States before that. But they're like, when you see the movie, like, who the fuck are these guys? This is totally out of left field. That's what the Monks were like back then. They made, my parents, our parents in the early 60s wouldn't like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was considered
But
blasphemous.
you can see, the fact that they were in Europe, the avant-garde thing. Yeah, they were a big splash, man. And
They were DOA in
Germany. They were in Germany. Yeah,
they're DOA in the United States. That would have just wouldn't have flown.
No, they wouldn't have. Well, the funny thing is, too, they were booked to tour Vietnam around that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And what was, I think, the drummer read where like some of these Buddhist monks were doing the self-immolation where they were setting themselves on fire. And he didn't want to go because he thought they were going to, the Viet Cong were going to do that to them, but So they, after this, they just kind of went on and, and faded out. They did reunions though. You guys have a sample of Pretty Suzanne? It's an unreleased track. Check out the intro on this thing.
All right.
If we can get to the chorus, I have an intro.
Yeah, I'll try to get to the chorus.
That's Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I
know. That's a verse.
Listen to the vocal.
When you gonna give, don't you want a little love from me? Don't think you dare, do you really care?
That is.
It's Italo Rock.
You know, yeah.
That's
Sounds
Garage
like
Italian.
Cream.
He sounds like he
Yeah.
sounds like Cream, Perry. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a weird one.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Johnny Maestro.
You
In that
always
sense,
hear
but
Johnny
I was
Maestro
hearing-
and everything.
But hey, what are you gonna do?
Sounds proggy to me.
All right. Well, that they're all dead. I was hearing Led Zeppelin in there.
You know
Yeah,
what they did?
I was hearing some Beach Boys at the end.
They got more mainstream on their own terms. You know?
Yeah, and I think they were unhappy with this, but even still, like as commercial, I mean, compared to the first Black Monk Time, it sounds commercial, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Do you have it? Can you get He Went Down to the Sea on it?
Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Nothing like what's on the
No.
album.
The Beach Boys.
Now, is this 1967?
7, yeah.
Yeah. That's totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Hang on a second.
Yep.
Getting his pizza.
So, yeah, we're going to have to sum this record up, Mark.
Yeah, hold on a second. He's coming back.
Yep.
They're bizarre. This band is bizarre.
Well, yeah,
And-
the Black Monk Time, that was their record, right?
Yeah. And here's the deal. One thing that what totally blew my mind, I saw a Cream video where they were playing in 68
Yeah.
and there were people banging their heads. And I was like, oh my God, there were headbangers in the 60s. When they toured behind this album, doing that stuff, I could see people actually banging their heads, not dancing, but just like going nuts.
Yeah,
It must
yeah.
have been insane live, totally insane to see this stuff being played,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So-
think if you were young and open-minded enough, you could dig it.
Yeah, Lou, yeah.
So, how would you sum the record up, Mr. Smith?
Fabulous. Now,
There's
I
a
give
shock.
I give it a B plus. Opened up a whole new world for me.
Cool.
It was definitely it's a missing link. It's something that it's well known among, but not well known.
Well, I'm glad you said Missing Link because it's a lost classic in that sense, right?
Yeah.
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 I thought, to me, the most exciting part were the drums. The drums were exciting drums.
I want to be in that band.
And I like the
wanna be
fuzziness,
drummer.
too. I like the fuzziness of
Yeah.
some of the songs. Yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So there's a documentary. It's called Monks: The Transatlantic Feedback. It was put out in 2006. I'm going to get a copy. I went on one website and it was like in euros. I'm like, I don't know what the conversion is. I don't want to spend $250.
Make region 0, then you can play it.
What's that?
If it says region 0, you can play it. If it says region any other number, be careful. 0 can be played in any DVD player.
I'll consult with you on that.
Yeah,
when I-
so
What's it called? The transatlantic what?
The Transatlantic Feedback.
Okay.
And there did something else. There was another compilation called, was it 5 Upstart Americans? It's a collection of demos when they were the turquoise.
The Torques.
I'm trying to think of when I first heard this. It was in relation to probably some garage rock thing I was looking for, and then I saw the Monks, and I saw the first thing I saw was that live thing. I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then when I went to the album, I'm like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. So the album, their only album was called Black Monk Time. That's the name of the record.
Yes, that's the name of the record.
That was
one record. One. I think it's genius. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Lost classic record. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm glad you guys liked it, man.
Yeah.
Great drums.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Perry, you mentioned we did some garage rock thing, and you had heard something about them. You mentioned them one time.
Yeah, one time
when
in
you said
passing.
the
Yeah.
Monks.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, I love it. Like you said, but the main thing about it, I'm not just as a drummer, but if you like rhythm, if you like just dancing, like that drummer is friggin' on, man. He should have done so many more things. Who knows what he did? Gary Berger went on to become a mayor of this like Turtle River, Minnesota, some little town. They did some reunions, I think, in '94. They played some shows, which would have been wild, But I was talking to my friend David at my Sunday morning gig, and he was talking about he was writing a song about when you start playing music, you're supposed to want to become famous, rich and famous, right? That's the whole thing, But if you look at all it's like the 1%. People have all the money in the world. It's this many people. However many people are famous, it's this many people. It's all the other music, all those other bands like the Monks, whatever that form part of that whole tapestry that influenced you, me, someone else. That rolls and snowballs, and maybe that became the Clash or whatever. So it's that it wasn't in vain. Maybe it was in obscurity, but you didn't toil in vain. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one does, man.
No. The stuff we've done, I've heard people say, you and I, two guys from New Jersey, whatever. I really like that song, man. That Jesus song we wrote. Everyone who ever heard this, like, that's a great song.
Yeah.
So that,
like Towns Van Zandt. He was when he was alive and he was playing. Not many people listen to him, but he's you know
what his record label was? Tomato Records was Towns Van Zandt's label.
Tomato was that his record label?
Hey, you know what, Perry? Hold on a second. Hold on.
He's got one. It's time for his album reveal anyhow.
He took his phones off.
He's off. He's gone.
I'm coming.
We did everything that we could. He's gone.
He's gone.
All right.
Mark's gone.
Forgot. Forgot John Prine, Oh Boy Records. Boy Records.
Well,
John
we just
Prine.
did. We could do another segment on in the future on
How could we forget John Prine?
Oh, of
but
course.
There's many more.
Yeah.
More.
At this time of year in the holiday season, there is Christmas in Jail by John Prine.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mark, I think we're ready for your album reveal.
Show it to us, Mark.
I'm going to pull it out. You ready?
I'd like to see it.
Oh, that's heavy. All right. I am lucky to have some original Verve pressings I acquired from somebody.
Is that jazz
by the way,
label?
there'll be a little synchronicity in this album review.
Is that a jazz label, Verve?
Yep. Oscar Peterson Trio. This is a fantastic album. I'm a huge Oscar Peterson fan. I think he's what, to me, in jazz pianists, he is the best as far as technique. He's just amazing.
Let me see the front cover again. That looked cool.
It's like a French paint, like a French style painting or something. Yeah. And even though it was pressed a long time ago, it is heavy vinyl.
How long ago was that record made? 50s?
It's Mark. I think that's why they call it a platter.
There you go. The back liner notes are written by Norman Granz. I don't know what year it came out, but
Norman Granz came to my house.
I mean, oh shit, really? Oh damn! But that's an old picture there. I love these Verve albums. These and Blue Note.
Cool.
That is, yeah. All right, you guys will know this one. They only come out at night. Edgar Winter Group.
Right?
Yep, with the great pop sensation Dan Hartman.
He wrote that big hit, Free Ride, didn't he?
Free Ride, and also Instant Replay.
Yep, he wrote Free Ride. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and sang it. Who produced that record, Mark?
Rick Derringer.
Was Ricky Derringer playing guitar on that record too?
Yes. And no. Ronnie Montrose was on guitar.
Ronnie Montrose?
Yeah. See? But Lou,
I think Danny Hartman sang a lot of those songs.
You know who the technical director was, Lou?
Yeah.
Morris Gibb.
Bill Szymczyk.
Bill Szymczyk.
Yeah. It's a great album. When I first heard Frankenstein, that blew my mind.
A lot of people had that record.
Wait. Did Bill Szymczyk produced and engineered Frankenstein?
He's the technical director of the album. He didn't.
Okay.
That's all he's listed as.
Wow.
So, yeah. See. And then they have a special thank you to Rick Derringer for slide guitar, pedal steel, bass, background vocals, and clavs. What else didn't he do? Jesus.
Wow. Now, Neil Giraldo thanked Rick Derringer for helping him get his start.
Yes.
Because he played with him before Pat Benatar.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
Next one up. XTC. Black Sea.
Black Sea.
Wow.
What year?
What year is this? I'm not good with the years. 1980. It didn't hit me like English Settlement. It's not the same.
What songs are on there? Is Love on a Farm Boy's Wages? Is that on there?
Let's see. Side 1, Respectable Street, Generals and Majors, Living Through Another
okay,
Cuba.
Now I know where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you know
Respectable Street.
Towers of London, Burning with Optimus. Yeah, okay. There's no inner sleeve on this one. I bought it actually at a used record store because still Steve Lillywhite produced it. But I got big into XTC and I bought everything I could on
Who
it.
is what's his name? Is Prairie Prince the drummer on that?
There's no inner sleeve to list the musicians.
That's right.
That's a problem.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Steve Lillywhite was known for his drum sounds.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Who's the Alarm? U2.
U2. He got a great sound from Larry Mullen. An album I used to love, but I've kind of cooled on, although I still like the title track. Mott the Hoople, All the Young Dudes. I used to really like this album.
It's their only song. I only know 2 songs by them, All the Way from Memphis, and the other one, the Bowie song, All the Young Dudes. Yeah.
On this one, they do Sweet Jane by Lou Reed. So it's good. I mean, it's, but it's just like after years, you go back, it doesn't age so well.
Now, who's involved with like producing Mott the
Mick Ralphs.
Like, who's,
Who produced it? Gus Dudgeon.
Produced by, the whole album's produced by David Bowie.
Interesting.
Ah.
Yeah.
Recorded at Olympic Studios and Trident Studios.
Trident with the famous piano, right?
Yeah, right. And then all the songs are listed.
HVAC machine. Yeah.
And every song is listed as arranged by Mott the Hoople and David Bowie. So he really got a big cut on this album.
Yeah.
So,
was Mick Ralphs the guitar player?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. It's a good album. I just.
Well, a pretty bad company, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Here you go. Here's our moment of synchronicity because you mentioned this guy tonight, Lou. This is a single. Bruce Foxton. He only did one single after the Jam broke up.
Wow.
And it's called This Is the Way. And what's really cool about it, it's 12-inch, 45 RPM, which you can get the maximum width on the grooves, which is really, really cool. Thank you,
Bruce
Steve
Foxton
Flanagan.
Single.
Yeah. Yep.
What's the name of the song?
This Is the Way.
This is the one. Oh.
And it's backed by Sign of the Times and the This Is the Way 7-inch mix. So he didn't have much material after the Jam.
Is that post, during, pre-Jam?
It's when they broke up. After they broke up, he put it out.
Yeah. Paul Weller wrote, 99% of the songs for the Jam, right?
This might be the one song he had in the Jam. Like, come on, guys, record. No, I don't want to say that.
And those guys carried on, too, after the Jam. The drummer and the bass player.
You told me that.
They carried on with, interestingly, a guitar player who was like a teenager going to Jam shows. And he became the guitar player after Paul Weller left. They weren't called the Jam, though. They were called, Town Called Malice, or, whatever they decided to call the group,
Like a Creedence
They asked
Clearwater
Paul Weller,
Revisited.
will you ever get the band back to Jam back together? Unequivocally, absolutely no fucking way. That's what he said. Yep.
I can't ever
if you're
see
English, If you're English, you can call someone the C word. We Americans can't do it.
Larry David tried.
Am I wrong? Yeah.
Paul Weller was evolving. He kept moving on. You have to be restless. You have to keep moving.
The drummer that played on that Paul Weller, that one record is really, really good.
Yeah, isn't he phenomenal?
Yeah, real. Like I said, that's another thing. I said I want to play with him. I want to be in that band.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's doing now. He kind of disappeared, I think.
It's great because you don't have to play like an idiot. But the guy's playing interesting drums, but he's not overplaying it. But
who knows?
He's letting him play.
Daniel Day-Lewis is making shoes. Right?
Wait. Are they all my left feet, though? My shoes?
Oh, shit. Oh, here we go. We need Terry Jacks.
No. Papa, please pray for me.
What else do you have, Mr. Smith?
Maudlin.
One of the best live albums I consider ever recorded, and it's got the best heavy metal version of We Will Rock You. Queen's Live Killers. This album is so fucking loud from start to finish. It's fantastic. And
where
it's got
did they record it? One of
the best
Wembley?
stage photos. Look at that photo. I love it. No, it was on there.
Mark, is there a way you can hold that so it's a little clearer? Because it was very blurry.
That's the back cover. See the stage photo.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Hold on. There, does that work? Yeah.
No. I see Queen Live Killers.
Okay, yeah,
It's all a
great
blur,
album.
lad.
It's like a Rorschach friggin' blot. You know, it's like
That
And
one.
you got a million pictures in there.
There's dead
Yeah.
puppies in there.
This is a great album. When they open with that heavy version of "We Will Rock You," it's great. It was recorded right before the game, the 1979 tour behind the Jazz.
all right. So they did
Jazz
all
album.
their big hits, right? I'm sure. Yep.
Mark Knopfler called "We Will Rock You" jackboot rock.
Because you're bashing your jackboots on the ground. Yeah, I know.
We will rock you.
and just to be fair,
Unequivocally. We'll rock you tonight.
I'm going to bring up albums that I bought that I think sucked. This is Foghat, Tight Shoes, and I bought it because it came out and I loved Foghat Live, so I bought this album at Music Merchant.
Yeah.
They were trying to be a new wave band. It was 1981, and they were trying to fit in. No distorted guitars. It was all like jangly guitars. Horrible.
Yeah.
They should never have done it. Horrible.
Well, it's forced evolution, so it's
Yeah. The redeeming thing is at least Shoes is spelled properly. If they did Shooz, I would never have bought it. You know?
Foghat had almost a top. I don't know if it was top 40 or not. It was a almost pop hit in 1979. Do you know what it was?
Oh, yes.
going to the
I think-
city.
I think- No, it wasn't really rock. I think it was a good. I think it's a good song actually.
That album, it's like the first song on the album, and it's the only one that sounds that way. The rest of the album is their
By blues
older
rock. It's
sound.
called,
Yeah.
it's called Third Time Lucky.
Yes. Yes.
First time I was a fool. I never knew that love could be so cruel. Third time.
Yeah. All right.
It got him. That'd be interesting to see where that charted. I think "Fool for the City" were those hits of that live album. Did they crack the top 40 with any of
That's
that?
they were
album rock, man. That's FM radio.
Yeah, FM radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I Want You to Want Me was a live track that made it to the top 10, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Foghat's
I
one
did
of
see
those.
Foghat open up for a band that I'm not going to mention tonight because we mention them all the time. But I did see Foghat.
Oh, wait.
They open for Blue Oyster Cult.
I'm not saying it.
Blue Oyster Cult again.
What the fuck? Where'd you? All right, start talking. Come on, brother, start talking. What is that?
Mr. Smith, what do you have?
Come on up with your sources, Perry. We know you. We got you.
Start
You can either
talking.
give them the sources or you going to jail. And stop drinking coffee at night.
What
It's not good for
sources?
you.
What sources?
What is that from?
I don't know what you're talking
He's
about.
clamming up. He's
All
clamming
right.
up.
Blue Oyster Cult again.
The movie, the guy that killed the
That's Tom
girls.
Spallone.
No, the guy that the psycho that killed the girls. He talks about music when he's killing them.
Oh no, American Psycho. Patrick
Yeah,
Bateman.
is that from that movie?
No, it's not. It's not.
So I like
That's-
Huey Lewis on the news. Yeah.
I am not at liberty to reveal my sources. If that source did, in fact, can't do it.
Okay.
We
Well,
have
this
a sworn affidavit here.
Well, almost anticlimactic, but I pulled it out and I said, Beggar's Banquet. Rolling Stone.
Now, that is a huge record. Hold on. Don't get rid of that one. I want to know what's on Beggar's Banquet, man.
Yeah,
That
man.
was a big record,
name the
right?
tracks, Mark. Name the tracks.
I'm just going to list them all because they're all good.
Yeah.
They're all keepers. My favorite Dead song of all time, Sympathy for the Devil.
You said
No
dead.
Expectations.
You said
Dear
dead.
Doctor.
You can't
Parachute
help
Woman.
You can't help it.
What?
You said
What
my
did I
favorite. You said my favorite Dead song.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Lloyd, no more wine. All right.
You got some avocado on your Laporte.
Now, Sympathy for the Devil. Growing up in a born again Christian family, when you hear like Sympathy for, you're like, yes.
Yes, that's right.
It just made him so much more badass. I'm a little kid, and there's Rolling Stones with a song called Sympathy for the Devil. Like,
Thank God.
badass. Jigsaw Puzzle, Street Fighting Man, Prodigal
Big one.
Son, Stray Cat Blues, Factory Girl, and Salt of the Earth.
Factory
Who
Girl and Salt
produced
of the Earth
Beggar's
are good songs.
Banquet?
Jimmy Miller.
No,
Yeah.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Miller.
Where'd they
Mr. Jim.
record Beggar's Banquet, by the way? Mobile or in
Chateau La Chouche.
Olympic Studios.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Engineers were Glyn Johns and Eddie and Gene. It's got to be a story behind that one. You know?
That was a huge record, Beggar's Banquet, man. One of their biggest. Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
So you've got Jimmy Miller producing and Glyn Johns engineering. That's a lot of that's a lot in one room.
Wow,
That's a lot of
Yep.
big heads in one room. Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
Um,
and Mick and Keith
Yeah.
and Charlie. Charlie.
Talk about this time, guys. They had just come off Let It Bleed. Then they're doing this. That's amazing.
That was a period.
Yeah.
Amazing period. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
and
what year was that? I don't. Those late '60s albums. I don't know the years in successions. That's '68, right?
No, got to be a little later than that, right?
I think it's 69.
Street Fight Man. I thought
Didn't Altamont concert, they were touring behind this album?
69. I don't know.
That was the end of '69. Altamont.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is 69. It doesn't have a date on it.
I'm going to contest that.
Right. And it's also
because I think Street Fight Man was released in '68 because of the
can you see this? It's on
Revolution.
London Stereophonic record. So yeah.
Is it on their own label? Is it on Rolling Stones Records? Yeah.
London Records.
London. Okay. Yeah. London put out those 45s that they had. Yep. They were on London Records. Yeah.
Now I guess that was US because everything in the US was different from the UK that the Stones put out until they had their own record label. I think Lou's fact checking here.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
this
else
is
do you
an
have?
album.
1968, Beggar's Banquet.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Really early.
So
The reason I said it because Street Fight Man came out. All right.
You're saying Brian Jones was on that record?
No. The last album he was on was Let It Bleed.
But what year was Let It Bleed?
I think that might have been the same year. And Brian Jones was only on one song. He played maracas on one song. So I think he's not really on the album,
But he died in '69.
Right, but he was,
summer of
I think he
69,
was thrown out in '68. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Let It Bleed and this came out the same year.
If you look at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, he's pretty much inebriated throughout the show.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it was alcohol.
I do have that on DVD. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
I like the Dirty Mac.
Yes.
So this album, my next album, it came with a book cover. If you want to cover your book, see if you can guess what it is. It's a book cover that says the Institute of Nude Wrestling, open 24 hours.
What the
You
heck?
know what album that was? Well, it says it on the side there.
ZZ
We
Top?
can't see it.
All right. It came in a cardboard corrugated sleeve. Alice Cooper, Muscle of Love.
Ah.
Was that after $1 Billion Babies?
Yeah. I
Is
think
that-
it was the last album with the Alice Cooper band.
Was that still Bob Ezrin producing?
It was. Hold on. I'm looking at the book cover. Produced by Jack Richardson, Jack Douglas.
Jack
Wow.
Douglas. Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, Jack Douglas, he produced Double Fantastique.
Yeah.
John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Toys in the Attic,
Toys in the Attic.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Great album. The recording engineer was Phil Ramone.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. This was the last with the original band. I think
I find it amazing that these guys that became producers emeritus or whatever, like were engineers too, like Glyn Johns working with the Beatles. He didn't produce Get Back or Let It Be. He engineered it. But then went on to produce the band or whatever. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I just love this hinge thing. This was for the time. This is amazing.
Can you move it over more? They're a little blurry, unfortunately.
Oh, it looks sharp on my end, but I got a Mac. I'm sorry.
Hey,
no, the original
it's
came.
got the little binder clip there.
Yeah, it's cool, right? So cool. I guess it was like buzz. Like people saw it in the record store.
Wow.
And go, what's in there? Let me buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last album, kind of a throwaway, but it's interesting. After Sammy Hagar joined Van Halen, he owed one more album, so he did a solo album, just called Sammy Hagar. Eddie Van Halen played the bass on it. It's pretty pedestrian rock. I don't love it, but he had a really good song called "Give to Live" on it. Very positive. Sammy wrote good positive ballads.
Who was he signed to? What label was he on? Sammy Hagar.
Geffen.
Really?
So here's the deal. Sammy joins Van Halen. Hey, I'm having a great time. Geffen comes and says, "You owe me an album. Give me that fucking album." And that's what it is. And the fact that, here's a little tidbit. It's the only time that Eddie recorded for another record label. He recorded on this, and he didn't record with his brother. Yeah.
And on bass.
Well, I mean, he honored his contract, is what he did.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He honored his contract, and Eddie Van Halen did something. You know, he was probably a pretty cool guy, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, pretty selfless. He could have made trillions of dollars off the guitar solo, beat it, but he's like, fuck it. I went in and laid it. I thought he just pissed that thing out of his. You know what I mean? He's supposed to, you know,
did it as a favor for Q,
yeah.
I think, right? Yeah.
Or whomever. I mean, whether it was Q or Michael Jackson, but you know, the fact Van Halen was selling trillions of records, he's like, I don't need a credit on this. I mean, that spirit of giving, you know, or just being like, hey, come on, you know.
I think Eddie's problem was he had two problems: handling his legend. It was an awesome thing; it bothered him, and alcohol. The guy really was. He couldn't drink because if you read Sammy's autobiography, there was this little thing when he put that little man bun in his hair, you knew he was drinking and he was violent. And that last tour they did together, where Eddie smashed his guitar on stage, he was so drunk. He had that man bun all the time. He was in a dark place. And I feel it's sad, you know, because I think, you're right. He's a genuinely good guy. And him and Alex had a bond. It's good to see two brothers have a bond like that.
A bond. These guys can't get together to friggin' figure out a tribute for Eddie. I mean, they're such dysfunctional friggin' narcissists, man. I mean, what's going on, you know?
They are dysfunctional. I think a lot of that dysfunction is David Lee Roth.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
me too.
Alex Van Halen, he's an ordained minister now, and I think
really,
yeah. And his role in the band, like, you know, he was the guy. He goes, David, and when they were the original Van Halen lineup, he goes, Eddie and Dave write the songs. He goes, I go out for beer, get the beer, but you know, that's him being self-deprecating because I will say he'll never get his due.
But also,
he's a hard rock, heavy metal, jazz drummer.
He's great. Yeah. He never lost a beat. He was
I mean, they're going about it all wrong. They're going about it all wrong. I mean, I've heard our friends, the Milk Crates and Turntables, Scott and Jack, talk about this, and it's like, you know, Joe Satriani was supposed to be the guitar. That's the wrong move, man. Don't let Joe, bring in Joe. Let Steve Vai play a couple of songs. Let all these other guitar players who loved and admired Eddie Van Halen, let them come in. Don't just let Joe Satriani do the whole show.
And there's something else. I really feel that Eddie, because he knew he was dying, that there's some kind of directive after he died, like what he wanted. And Alex is going to honor what he wanted. And, you know, it's kind of weird because no guitarist can play Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, you'll get Steve Vai, you'll get whatever, but no one's going to sound like him. So maybe they're just thinking, you know, like, who the hell can play
it's
it?
complete fucking dysfunction. Dave Grohl got a friggin' tribute to Taylor Hawkins together in a matter of months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And these guys can't do this.
They have to get Dweezil Zappa to do it too.
And these guest guitar players, absolutely. Dweezil Zappa has done tributes to his dad.
Yes,
you know, I mean, what is it with these friggin' guys, man?
Wolfie can play like Eddie, like no one else. Wolfie could be part, but he doesn't want to be part of it, I don't think. That's the problem.
Well, I'm sure he could play guitar in a couple of those songs. You know, bring Michael Anthony in for, like, you guys, you know what?
I think with Wolfie's point, I think it's to not turn it into a 3-ring circus because there's a potential to turn
because of the narcissism,
like you said,
right?
You said exactly, Perry, because of the narcissism, the dysfunction. You know, he's not going to have his father's image tarnished like that. And either will Alex. You know
what?
I think Alex is probably such a cool guy that.
Well, you know what?
While he was his brother, he was not his.
Forget Dave Lee Roth and forget Sammy. How many singers are there who would come in and want to do this?
Sammy said he would do it in a second. Sammy said, "I'm in."
Really?
You know.
Yeah.
You're right. Dave Lee Roth would screw it all up. He would fuck it all up.
He can't sing anymore. That's the problem. The guy really can't sing.
The thing about David Lee Roth says it looks like he's performing at the retirement home like Christmas show.
yeah, it's bad.
Those stupid outfits. He's like, you know, like that whole almost vaudeville showbiz thing did not make it past your 30s, dude. I mean, he's pretty tragic.
That's amazingly ridiculous that these guys can't get that together. Dave Grohl, no matter of months.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Dysfunction.
Yeah.
But I think when they do, Perry, I think it's because the real powers that be, the Van Halen family, will stop it from becoming a zoo and becoming a shit show. So it may take a while.
Yeah.
Will Gary Sharon be there?
Why not? Why not?
Why
Let him
not?
sing a couple of songs. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not like he can sing. The guy's name. It's not like that guy doesn't have a voice, but it was just that was the why shouldn't he? You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
He did his work.
Right.
You know what Gary did? Gary did a Eddie Van Halen solo album. That album should have been a solo album. It didn't sound like Van Halen.
That's what you've said.
How about this? Yeah. I can see now, right? I can see for charity, Rush getting together and all these guest drummers come in. Dave Grohl comes in to play a couple of songs. Oh,
He, can't
or,
play, he said he can't play Rush songs. He goes, "I can't
but
play
the
like
point is
that."
this: you can, they
Portnoy.
would do it for charity. They would do
Oh, yeah.
it. You
Mike
know,
Portnoy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mike Portnoy, a Brondeller from Mastodon.
correct,
could do
right? And these guys
Yeah,
are
yeah,
famous
yeah.
drummers. Yep.
it. Yeah.
And Omar Hakim.
Interesting. I bet
Yeah.
he could.
Omar
I bet
would be
he
good
could.
for the 80s and 90s, like the 80s stuff
Yes.
when they were power windows.
Yes,
that was like,
absolutely.
I don't think Mike Portnoy
I love
could
that,
do
Mark.
that.
That was your early Rush period, I think. I love that period. That was a transition period. I'm like,
It's my
all
favorite
right,
period.
All right. I know. I said, some
Yeah.
of that 20, the ponderous, some of the stuff I thought was ponderous, like 2112. It's interesting. Farewell to the Kings I think is better.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when they went pop, I kind of liked it,
Yeah.
They were
Well, what do you
great.
think, guys? Time to kick this pig or what?
Well, you know what, Perry?
Time to put this limping dog down.
Let's end it. But I'd like to say really quick, Lou led me to my album I'm recommending to you this week to listen to.
But what is
And we
it?
only have one more week
I know that.
before,
Please, not
Christmas and
not Blue Oyster
Chris-
Cult, right?
Christmas and-
What's our Christmas show going to be?
Well, listen, Christmas and New Year fall on Sunday, so we're not going to be on for a couple weeks, it looks like, unless we do another night.
Right.
So next
Right.
week could be our last show for the year.
Uh-oh. No.
What is it? What's your suggestion?
So I was going to lay the big epic on you, and I'm going to wait till next year. I'll be nice to you guys. I am going to recommend Rush Presto.
Presto.
Yeah.
Does that have Roll the Bones on it?
No, that was the album after. Oh, Perry's already got a negative towards it.
Papa, please pray for me.
Wait, Perry's mind right now, he's going, I got to listen to a fucking Rush album? God
Every
damn it.
single song. We are Music Relish Podcast.
Yes, we're going to have to kick
Like
this
us and
pig.
subscribe.
Do you have a
We're gonna
picture
kick
of the
this
record,
pig.
Mark?
Presto?
Yeah,
No, not
it's
on
just
me.
called
I'd have to run
Presto.
to
All
get it.
right, I'm going to kick
Presto.
in the
It's got-
closing theme. Yeah.
It's got rabbits on the cover.
Okay.
Lou got so disgusted he left the studio.
He
Look
walked
at
out.
this.
Yeah.
I walked.
He went Jack
I walked from this.
He went Jack Calabrese on him.
No,
I'm
he
telling
went.
you, I spoke to my manager. He said I don't have to do this every fucking week.
He's doing a Miles from Sideways. No fucking Rush.
Hey guys.
Good talking to you guys.
Instead, every goddamn week I gotta do this show. It's Sunday night. I gotta work in the morning.
Look at this. He thinks he has the wrong script again. You know? I think the lights are causing him to. It's the lights, yeah.
It was a fun show. Fun show, guys.
Yeah.
I like my Sunday nights with you guys.
Me too.
It was a
Me too.
gas, man. Yeah, it was a groove. Yeah.
Keeps me out of trouble.
Staying out of trouble. We did everything that we could.
Staying out of trouble.
And any of you that want to hear it, I'll have some monks up on Facebook in a couple days.
Fire bad.
The monks rule.
Yeah. So catch Music Relish Podcast at Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Podchaser, Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast. And it's Music Relish Podcast at gmail.com.
.com.
We do this because we love this.
Yes.
We hope you love it too.
And hello, Milk Crates and Turntables, Scott and Jack. Hello,
Jack and
Tommy
Scott.
Sloan. Yep.
Good to see Jack back on the show every week. It's great
Yeah.
to see him back. Keep
Go
doing
back,
it.
Jack. Do it again.
Yep, Jack back.
The wheels are turning round and round.
Can we
Go on.
please redo
We did
the
everything that we
solos on
could.
this song? Can you let me re-record my solo? Come on.
No.
Lou's on
No
an
more.
acid trip, man. We got to get out of here. He's stuck in 1967 when they used to when the Jefferson Airplane would play. They'd put like a
No.
little liquid on a paper and project it behind them. You know, it was all that.
He,
Grow your
he looks like Bubbles. He's Bubbles.
Farewell,
Forever boy.
everyone. Farewell.
See you guys. Have a good week.